Mile High Stadium, July 17th. Michigan quarterback Bobby Hebert became the MVP in the championship game with passes like this one. 48-yard touchdown to Anthony Carter. Today, the defending champion Michigan Panthers are back in search of the gold. A crowd of nearly 50,000 is expected here today. ABC Sports presents live from Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. It's the third week of the United States Football League. Today, it's the defending champion Michigan Panthers against Greg Morton's undefeated Denver Gold. Cloudy skies, thin air, the weather is suspect. The temperature, 45 degrees. It is expected to drop throughout the afternoon. There is a chance of rain and possibly snow. The Michigan Panthers played their first two games at home in the comfort of the Silverdome on synthetic turf. They won them both, beating Chicago and Pittsburgh with dramatic field goals by Novoviovich. So in a division where three of the five clubs are expansion teams, Houston, San Antonio, and Oklahoma, the Panthers are dominant. Unlike the Panthers, Denver has played its first two games on the road. They too are undefeated. The Gold beat Los Angeles with 17 fourth-quarter points, and last week they beat Oklahoma in overtime. So Denver heads up the tough Pacific Division, and today we have a pretty good matchup. As the crowd continues to grow, the conditions are suspect weather-wise. Cloudy skies, slight wind, thin air, and a temperature of 46 degrees. It is expected to drop into the 30s by late afternoon, and there is a chance of snow. You're looking at Novoviovich, the kicker for the Michigan Panthers. 5'10", 170-pounder out of Central Michigan. That's the deep man for the Denver Gold. Leonard Harris out of Texas Tech, number 80. He is flanked by Tom Otto and Anthony Allen. It'll be Allen. He looks for some blockers, tries to get outside and stumbles on his own without being hit. The offensive talent for the Denver Gold. The quarterback, as we mentioned, is Greg Penrose, and he has been ill all week. He was out of the hospital yesterday afternoon. He looked lethargic in warm-ups. Harry Sidney, Bo Matthews, your running backs, the wideouts, Leonard Harris, and Elmer Bailey. The offensive line, Victor Hicks, your tight end, Matt Miller, Greg Fiesel, 285-pounder, Tom Davis, 260, George Yarno, 260, and Steve Rogers, 265. The defense for the Michigan Panthers, one of the more sophisticated defenses you'll see this year. They play a lot of man. As you can see him roll up on the outside receivers right now. Greg Penrose is the wide man. The quarterback number, Kevin Williams and Leonard Harris, three wideouts. First play of the game, a pass. Elmer Bailey has it, not much there. He may have lost a yard. Kyle Borland was the man who came up and made the stop. Man-to-man covered for Michigan right out of the blocks. The Michigan defense, one of the better ones. Up front line, Paget, Alan Hughes, and Larry Bethea. Three good ones. Kyle Borland, Robert Paywell, Ray Bentley, and John Corker are your active linebackers. The secondary, Oliver Davis, David Greenwood, John Ardode, and Clarence Chapman. Second down, 11 yards from the 17. We're just underway at Mile High Stadium. And Rose long count. Well, Matthews in motion. The pitch decision. Here he comes around the right side. And he is really tagged by Jarn Arnaud.
In Arnaud and David Greenwood, you have two of the best safeties in all of professional football. And it's very unique, Tim, because for the first time in the history of professional football, you have two safeties who can high jump better than 7 feet. In fact, both of them during their collegiate careers had high jumps of better than 7 feet 2 inches. That to me is remarkable. That means it's going to be very hard to throw deep passes down the middle.
And those high jumpers are going against the little guys. 5'8" is Leonard Harris. David Williams is only 5'9". He's 39 from the 19. Shotgun formation. Handoff inside to Calvin Murray. Got a hole out across the 25-yard line. Calvin Murray is close to a first down.
Well, I think he's going to be short, Ken, by about a half a yard. Calvin Murray, of course, one of the premier runners in Ohio State history, was the leading rusher last year for the Arizona Wranglers.
First down, Denver.
just mentioned out of Ohio State, spent most of last year with the Arizona Wranglers. And it's that last second surge right there that gets him the yardage. I thought he had come up short, but you can see that he makes a move forward at the last moment there, pushes the ball forward, and picks up the valuable yardage and gets the goal, the first down. That, Cooper, is one of the advantages of having a head coach who's an experienced NFL quarterback or pro quarterback. This surprise teams up on third and long.
So it's first down from the 28, and again it's Harry Sidney. Good blocking on the right side.
Bangs his way across the 32 to the 33-yard line. John
Corker is there to pull him down.
This is the guy known as the sack man, one of the premier linebackers in the USFL in 1983. And look at the pursuit. He's 6'6", 230 pounds. And look at it. He plays wall-to-wall linebacker. That man does. He had 28 and a half sacks in 1983. The USFL Defensive Player of the Year, John Corker. Look at Jim Stanley. John Ardott comes to the bottom of the screen. The top is Leonard Harris. Second and 6 from the 32.
Penrose to throw.
He has a man open his line. Across midfield, Victor Hicks to the 47-yard line. David Greenwood finally makes the stop. This is a route that has been very effective for them. Victor Hicks, watch it. Play action fake. Fakes to Sidney. He's on the left and he's running an out route toward the sideline. He gets into the open area right there. Gets behind David Greenwood, the safety man. And with a nice soft looping trajectory, Craig Penrose gets the ball into the open area for a 20-yard pickup. The Gold are off to a great start. Leonard Harris comes out. Kevin Williams comes in along with Elmo Bailey. They're your two wideouts. First down from the 47. Penrose with time. Has an open man. Complete again. It's Victor Hicks. Run out of bounds by David Greenwood, but it's another Denver first down. This is the identical call, only this time to the other side of the field. Victor Hicks, the tight end out of the University of Oklahoma, running an out pattern, and again, he gets right in behind safety man David Greenwood, and with that same soft looping trajectory as Craig Penrose, throwing that intermediate route that we talked about during the pregame show. This time the pickup is for 15 yards. Victor Hicks acquired in a trade from New Jersey. Big, strong offensive line for Denver.
Tom Davis, Stuart Jarno, Steve Rogers on the right side. They've been
Using the blocking roll for Penrose. Another first down for the Gold. This time Penrose goes down. Ray Bentley came through cleanly. There is an outstanding player. Ray Bentley, number 50. He's overshadowed in publicity because of Corker, but watch him go to work on the blitz right now. And there's nobody home as he comes in and crashes in with quarterback Craig Penrose right there, the leading tackler on the team. He was the leading tackler most of last year, missed a few games because of injury. Look at those numbers. He's off to a great start. Michigan has the best group of linebackers in the USFL. Last year they started the season with 10 linebackers. Finally traded Ben Needham to Boston, and he turns out to be an all-pro. Denver calls timeout. Penrose wants to talk with Greg Morton. Remember, just as you said earlier, Tim, and we talked about this, he spent a couple days in the hospital with the flu. He had congestion, fever, was feeling very lousy, and off to a slow start today. He looked lethargic in warm-up, but he looked sharp in the first quarter of the game here. We're scoreless. Rick Penrose extremely sharp in the early goings for the Denver Gold as the crowd continues to grow here at Mile High Stadium. 10:57 remaining in the first quarter. Just underway. Penrose faced with a very difficult situation here. Second and 18. Leonard Harris, Silver Baylor, the wideouts. Tight end, flexion to Sullivan. Split backs. Penrose. Good time. Drops it over the middle. Complete. Across the 35 to the 33-yard line goes Elmer Bailey. Elmer Bailey, who has been probably the most consistent receiver for them during training camp, starts in motion to the right. Comes up the field. Lets it clear out, and then runs the underneath route. There he is on a crossing pattern right there. Penrose lets it clear out, throws the ball, hits him right on the numbers. And he has been a player for them, and it looks like right now, Tim, probably the most consistent receiver that they have. 6'2", 195 out of Minnesota. He's a burner.
Shotgun formation. Going deep. Way overthrown. Intended for John Arnott. Clarence Chapman was right in his hip pocket and rode him out of bounds. John Arnold was the intended receiver of it.
Well, the book on Penrose is that he's basically not a long ball thrower, but he moved that one out there about 55 yards. However, he was long and he was wide. Actually, the ball was thrown out of bounds. However, Penrose, despite his flu, is off to a good start today and moved the club well in the initial series.
Penrose 4 for 5, 41 yards. This is Ryan Spielman. On to attempt the field goal. A 50-yarder. He is 3 for 4 this year. His longest 46 yards will be way short this time. So, all that sharp play and the Denver goal come away empty-handed. Disappointing. The offense looked good. The game still scoreless with 9:54 remaining in the first period. Scoreless ball game thus far, and the Michigan Panthers now have the ball for the first time on offense. The quarterback is Bobby Hebert. The running backs, Cleo Miller and Terry Miller. At the top of the show, Ken Lacey did not make for the injury. He's out with an injured shoulder. John Williams, the other starting back, has a slightly sprained ankle. He will play, but he's not in the starting lineup. On the 33, long count by Hebert. His first play. To Derek Holloway, incomplete. Bobby Hebert is your quarterback. We told you that. The two Millers are your running backs. Derek Holloway, the speedster out of Arkansas, and Anthony Carter out of Michigan are your wide receivers. Two of the best. The offensive line, Mike Cobb, 255. Tony Osmond, 255. Ray Penny, 256 pounds. Wayne Radloff is the center at 265. Tyrone McGriff out of Pittsburgh, the Steelers, 267 pounds. Chris Godfrey, 250 pounder. Heavy-duty offensive line. The wideouts, Carter and Holloway. Second and 10 from the 33. Pressure. Hebert drops the ball. He gets it back with Dave Stalls and Greg Durkin were there to shake it loose. And Mile High Stadium is now shaking. Good pressure by the Gold as they go to work on Bobby Hebert, and I think that's going to be one of the keys today, Tim. Dave Stahl's the first man there. He's known as the Lend-Lease lineman. Dave Stahl's, there he is. He was lent to Oakland from Denver here at the USFL. Played in the Super Bowl for the Raiders. Pat O'Brien, there's the Pat Hogan, rather, Calvin Turner, Kelvin Newton, John Bongorts, Jeff Harper, Greg Durkin, your linebackers, your defensive backs, Martin Miller, Dumars and Sullivan. Third and 20 for the 23. Hebert across the middle. Johnny Sullivan to the 35. The 30. Anthony Carter brought it down. They're going to mark it at the 32-yard line. It was intended for Carter. Interception by Tom Sullivan. Again, it was pressured by David Stahl. Bobby Hebert, straight drop back, and he's trying to throw down the middle to Anthony Carter. Look at the pressure by number 77, David Stahl. And here comes Tom Sullivan, number 32, the free safety. He's playing center field there. He's back in action now after missing 2 weeks because of a neck injury. Great career he had at UCLA. Here it is right there. He's right there with perfect timing, stepping in front of Anthony Carter, making a move to the outside, breaks the tackle there, gives them opportunistic field position. From the 32, Denver was down here on his first possession, came away empty-handed. Come on! Larry Bethea made the initial contact. It was recovered by George Arno. In the life of every quarterback is a blind side. Semi-roll to the right. Watch Larry Bethea, the right defensive end, right there with a crunching tackle on quarterback USFL report. Here's Jim Lapley. Tim Grant, some people are born under the right kind of a sign. Marcus Dupree's very first carry in a United States Football League game is, you guessed it, a touchdown. Only 1 yard out after a Ben Needham fumble recovery. It has given the Breakers a 7-0 early lead over the Boats. Dupree's first carry at TD. Tim Grant in Denver.
Thanks, Lance. How about that, Cooper? One carry, one touchdown. I like it. Can't beat it. Batting 1,000.
Right here in Denver's Mile High Stadium. 3rd and 2 for the Denver goal from the 24. High formation. Harry Sidney, the drive back. Here's the whistle on the flag. Costly mistake. Instead of 3rd and 2, it'll be 3rd and 7. The officials for today's ball game: Dave Kaminsky, track and field coach; the umpire, John Pemberton; Roger McKean is your head lineman; Tony Venery is your school administrator. He's the line judge. The back judge is Bill Fett. Bill Richardson is your side judge. He'll carry the stopwatch, and Bob Rao is your field judge. 3rd and 7 for the Denver goal. Penrose, two-step drop fade pattern, incomplete, nobody home.
He was throwing the fade pattern, but John Arnold, number 84, ran about a 10-yard hook. What we have here is failure to communicate. Could be the quarterback, could be the wide receiver. Usually you have to blame it on those wide receivers.
Will they punt? Or will they try the field goal? Earlier, Ryan's field goal, just a 50-yard attempt. It's on now. Try a 46-yard. As long as this year is a 46-yard. It's up. And it's no good. High to the left. So again, the Denver goal, down in scoring position, come away empty-handed. And that has to be frustrating for all the gold and the fans here at Mile High Stadium. Scoreless ball game, 6:57, first period. All right, so we're back, Cooper.
All right, we got a good one. Close one.
Bobby Hebert, the quarterback of the Michigan Panthers. First and 10 from the 29. Leo Miller, Terry Miller, the wideouts. Holloway and Carter both to the same side. Now Carter goes it. Leo. Bang this way out across the left side. 6-yard pickup for Cleo Miller. 9 years with the Cleveland Browns, an experienced veteran. Who almost acts as if he's a player coach with his ball club. 5th leading receiver, or rusher rather, in Cleveland Brown history.
And they've had some good runners.
This program is being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Now let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves. Second and 4, again, for Terry Miller. Picks up the block right side to the 39-yard line. Close to a first down for Michigan. Jeff Harper makes the stop. Rick Penrose now with Bob Bush on the sideline. Thank you, Tim. What happened on the last play? A confusion on the pass run.
Well, it's a bunch route read, and what we're taught is if the quarterback's up on the wide receiver, he's going to go on the streak, which he was, and our receiver got mixed up. If he's off, he's just going to run a quick out. So just missed a little bit of miscommunication between myself and the receiver.
You've been sick all week. How you feeling? Are you weak? Do you feel strong?
Oh, I feel fairly weak, but it's game day. I'm just trying to do the best I can.
Back up here, Tim. Holloway goes to the top of the screen. Carter to the bottom. First and 10 from the 40 for Michigan. Hebert with time. Pulling deep. Anthony Carter. Overthrown. He was open. He had David Martin beaten by 2 steps.
draw team. They've had good success doing all
Leo Miller, 5'11", 214 pounds, 10-year veteran out of Arkansas. Scored his only touchdown in 1983 in the playoff game against Oakland. The Denver Gold running a 3-4 defense. Miller, Tom Sullivan, David Dumas, and David Martin on your secondary. Three receivers, top of the screen, Holloway and Carter.
Coach Jim Stanley came out recently and said that he thought that Anthony Carter was the best player in all of football. Goes in motion, then circles back over the middle, and he's in an open area right there. And this time, Bobby Hebert is right on target. He throws the ball just in front of Carter, and he makes the leaping reception.
I don't know if he's the best, but look where he is. It doesn't take long to call roll. Took him 7 games last year to make 13 receptions. He had 13 coming into this game. He's got 1 here this afternoon. First and 10 from the 43. 3:42 to go in the first quarter. A blitz. Hebert with time. To Holloway, incomplete. Good coverage out by David Martin. David Martin, 5'9", 180 pounder out of Villanova.
Good coverage by number 13, left quarterback David Martin. Derek Holloway is on the right side, and he's running a sideline cut. Goes down about 12 to 14 yards, breaks it to the outside, and you see that Martin, number 13 right there, is in perfect position. However, again, that ball could have been thrown more to the outside and lower. He could have brought the receiver back to the ball on the sideline cut. Again, I think Hebert is a little rusty, Tim.
He is 1 for 5, 1 interception. That really was the first time Hebert had time to throw all afternoon. Number 43. Second and 10. The Gold show blitz. Then they play games up front. Anthony Carter complete. The 30 to the 29-yard line. Tom Sullivan takes him down. But again, it looked like a hook pattern.
This is reminiscent of what happened in the championship game right here last July. Threw a hook route to Anthony Carter, and that time he broke it. This time he's surrounded by 2 players in the secondary, namely number 32, Tom Sullivan out of UCLA. Missed 2 weeks with a neck injury. Apparently he shook his head the wrong way coming out of the shower, and because of that he was out 2 weeks.
The key is Denver defensive line. It has to put pressure on Hebert. If he gets out, look out. It could be a long day for the secondary. Cover Carter, Holland, and Lake Powell. The 99, first down. Good time. One long. Overthrow intended for Anthony Carter again. David Martin was the man out there, but AC had a step on him.
Hebert ran it himself. He socks his hand. He knows that had he thrown that ball with a little bit more of a soft, looping trajectory and let AC run under it, that he might have had a touchdown. However, he doesn't worry about things like this too much. He's never been that much of a high percentage passer, and when he does get off to some bad starts, he doesn't let it worry him because he knows that he can come back and get the deep route.
It's almost impossible to cover Carter one-on-one. That's what they try to do that time.
The same is true of Holloway.
Anthony Carter, who remember the ball, his first 2 games. Hebert
crowd right there. But this is a guy who played for Duffy Daugherty at Michigan State, a one-time first-round draft choice of the Cincinnati Bengals. And what a career he has had. He was head up on the linebacker. He needs more help from the free safety. First and goal from the 7. 3 inside a minute, first period. Miller to the 3-yard line. John Eccles comes into the ballgame for Michigan. They go to 2 tight ends now. It'll be second and goal from the 4, Michigan. Jim Stanley, as we said, was very influenced by Bear Bryant, who he played for at Texas A&M back in the 50s. When you think of his priorities, you think of fundamentals, you think of discipline, you think of loyalty. He places a high priority on loyalty, expects loyalty, and he is ready to give loyalty to players. Gary Miller. Xavier, goes right. Across, incomplete, intended for Mike Cobb on the tight end drag in the end zone. Should have been a touchdown. Good execution here by Hebert. We look at Cobb. He blocks first. Now he's going to slide out as Hebert rolls to his right. And he sees Hebert moving to his right, and the ball is thrown perfectly. He should never drop this pass. Tom Sullivan is close by, but that certainly should have been a touchdown. And that's the kind of thing that coaches hate, quarterbacks hate it, and Cobb hates it himself. He's going to hate to watch that on film. Third and goal for Michigan now. Penny goes out. John Eccles goes out. Anthony Carter back in the ballgame. In motion. Hebert across the middle, complete. Touchdown, Michigan. Anthony Carter made the grab. Good coverage by John Baumgart's. Good coverage by Nate Miller. But the ball was right on the money, and Anthony Carter made the catch. When in doubt, go to your best athlete when you're down knocking at the door. Carter comes in motion back toward the line of scrimmage. He hooks and waits. Nate Miller on the coverage. Baumgart's on the coverage. But the ball is thrown right in between them. And Hebert now ups his percentage. He's now 5 of 11 for 52 yards and 1 touchdown. AC continues his hot streak. The key there was not the catch, but holding on when he was really blistered by the linebackers in the end zone. Good point. Noble Williams and John Hicks are 25 from 5 this year. This is enough, and it's good. The Michigan Panthers went first after the Denver Bulls threatened and came away twice, empty-handed. That's the last play of the first quarter in our score. The Michigan Panthers 7, the Denver Gold get the score. Bobby Hebert and Anthony Carter, the last play of the first quarter, and there's your score, 7-0 Denver. That's the first time the Panthers hit 7-0 Michigan. That's the first time the Panthers have scored first this year. Here's the deep man, Leonard Harris. Both sides of him, Anthony Allen, John Hartley. Noble Williams, who was married this past Monday. There to kick off. Anthony Allen, a yard deep in the end zone. Finds the ball, takes it up the middle across the front of the connection field. There is a flag. Puts it back to the rail. They had to stop. Pretty good return by Anthony Allen. We'll wait to see what the officials say the infraction is. It's against Denver. Do not confuse this Anthony Allen with the Anthony Allen who plays for the Los Angeles Express. Both fine athletes, but one is a defensive back out of Texas Christian, the other a wide receiver out of the University of Washington.
Illegal block. Above the waist, number 61. First down.
Good point cover, and they call out Dave Kamansky, the referee. So, with our score 7-0 in 14:51 second quarter, let's pause for this. The Pro Bowlers Tour will be seen on the West Coast, 3:30. And I saw a couple where Gary Skidmore was told you a perfect game. The goal back up on the 8, first down. Spins out, and maybe gets an extra yard on second effort before Robert Samuel takes it down. Number 59.
the team in tackles last year. It's Drake Morton. There's a game, please. He's concerned. He should have points on the board. Came away twice empty-handed.
Looks very stern there, but
He had a very loose approach. That's Big Pirelli right next to him, the offensive coordinator. And his training camp included some things like night on meetings, time off for the players, and believe it or not, family picnics. And this is something that has continued during the regular season. Once a week, everybody gets together. They have a barbecue. They break out the beer and the soft drinks, and they have just a big friendly get-together. That's my kind of game. I'm just saying they can come back. Second and 11 from the 7. Great Penrose. Observation. Takes to Harry Sidney. Now dumps the ball to a middle circle back. Dives across. With 15 to the 13. He is going to be shot at the first there. 5-4 makes the step. As we look at the first quarter numbers, you can see that Michigan was pretty much in charge of the football game, mostly because of the passing yardage, and they were able to keep the ball 2 minutes longer than Denver. And this is something that is going to be an important statistic, I think, throughout the afternoon. Denver, ideally, would like to keep the ball away from Michigan because they are the big play team. Penrose has 2 receivers, top of the screen, Bailey in motion at the bottom. The fullback is 15. Right now, Bobby Bruce is with Michigan quarterback Bobby Hebert. Bobby, you seem to be seeing something over the middle. You hit Cobb over the middle, then you hit Carter over the middle for the touchdown.
Yeah, well, I guess that's been, working for us so far this year, and we have to be more consistent offensively, and we just have to come up with big plays if we expect to win today.
Back up to you, Tim. Bobby Hebert, the strong arm Cajun from Cut Off, Louisiana. Cajun Cannon, and that is an apt nickname because he has a rocket on that right shoulder. But Matthews is in the ball game now for Denver. Lone setback. Everybody else is wide, and it's going to be Matthews. Looks for help, can't find it, breaks a couple of tackles. Ray Bentley takes him down. Low Matthews. Big bruising fullback out of the University of Colorado. I saw him play in Boulder back in 1972 in an upset victory over Oklahoma. What a day he had. He and Ken Johnson were in the same backfield together. Of course, Ken Johnson started early in the season last year for the Denver Gold. Bo Matthews, 6'2", 225-pounder out of Colorado. Went for a touchdown in each game this year for the Denver Gold. Leonard Harris went to the bottom of the screen. Bailey at the top, split back. Vincent Wright in the ball game now. Penrose looks for him, hits Wright. And he's got room. Across the 35 to the 36-yard line. The goal continues to move on the Michigan defense. We talked about how Penrose was a pocket passer who would throw all of the dink and duck routes. He likes all of the underneath catch.
straight drop back here, and he's pressured. Good pressure, but he finds Vincent White, number 44.
Out of Stanford, he's the man who replaced Darren Nelson. He followed Darren Nelson at Stanford, and he has quick feet, Tim. In fact, he had the best night ever for the Denver Gold. He had 159 yards rushing in a ball game last year against the Arizona Wranglers. Greg Morton brought Penrose out of retirement. Penrose was Morton's backup here in Denver with the Broncos in 1977 when they won the AFC title and the Super Bowl against the Dallas Cowboys. Pass is complete. Kevin Williams got out of bounds on the 47-yard line. Oliver Davis, the defensive back over there. Davis is going to under 500 out of Tennessee State.
Play action.
Move to the left by Penrose. He's going to look for Kevin Williams,
Number 86 along the left sideline.
Kevin the Bug Williams out of USC, covered by Oliver Davis, number 21. He has world-class speed, 9'4", in the 100-yard dash.
Also set an NCAA record for percentage of touchdown receptions.
Another first down. He may be just a little bit shy. So look at Greg Morton. Let's go back to New York. Here's Jim Lefley.
Well, Tim Brand, after Marcus Dupree scored on his first
Professional carry to make it 7-0, and then Memphis answered to make it 7-7. Dupree came back again. This one from 2 yards out. The second touchdown of the early going of his USFL career. In the second quarter, the Blazers have a 14-7 lead over the Stars.
of Southern Mississippi.
March 30, we signed to play with New Orleans. They play well.
Penrose to Bailey across midfield into Michigan territory. David Greenwood makes the stop.
Tim, I've always liked the quick passing game. This is what you call a 5-yard hook or a deep pitch route. The ball is thrown right in the numbers to Bailey. The coverage there by David Greenwood, the strong safety man, number 31, and the cornerback, number 42, Clarence Chapman.
I know you like that short passing game. I saw it yesterday. All around here. Now I'm sticking.
They had a good workout. I know that you like to get quarterbacks.
Bentley, 6'2", 240 out of Central Michigan, and it looked like he came through unscathed.
Alan Hughes, the right defensive end, and Ray Bentley, the inside linebacker.
Watch the pressure apply
To Craig Penrose, as he tries to set up in the pocket collapses. Here's the aforementioned twosome. That's the old sandwich play right there.
He's the one who made penetration on the blitz. They blocked him out, which let Bentley come free.
That's what sets it up. Actually, that's a very important point because it's a teamwork play defensively, and it's just as important as what a passer and a wide receiver do.
There is a teamwork effort there. Very important. Penrose sacked 3 times now. 3rd and 15. He is passing down to the 43. Formation. Penrose, this time, under pressure again from the middle. Incomplete. Intended for Elmer Bailey, the youngster out of Minnesota. And Penrose is having a rough afternoon under a lot of pressure.
However, he's got some impressive numbers. He's 8 of 11 for 71 yards. Shotgun. Penrose stand-up passer right here. And he's going to look for Elmer Bailey on the underneath cut. Bailey was successful on this earlier. The ball's thrown a little short. The coverage effective there by Will Coakley, number 58.
4th and 15 to goal after punting away. Steve Gordon out of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, to do the punting. Walter Top is going to let it go and roll. Into the end zone, touchback to the roll to walk. That's an amazing effort. Amazing play right there. I've got to see that one again, Cutler. It looked like it broke the plane in the end zone. Elmer Bailey, the speedster out of Minnesota, spectacular effort, 56-yard punt. And that's where Michigan will have the ball. Now they say it's a touchback. So they roll the touchback. They bring it out to the 20-yard line, and that's where Michigan has it. Holloway, Carterless, wide receivers. Bear to pass. Incomplete, overthrown, intended for Terry Miller. Let's take another look at it. Well, I did think it broke the plane.
Here is an amazing effort. Watch number 25, Darrell Hemphill, out of West Texas State.
He's on the right, and he's running as fast as he can. And watch how he flies through the air and bats the ball back. And let's see if it does indeed break the plane of the goal line, as Tim Rath said. Yes, there it is. But look at that effort as he swats the ball back.
Right behind him is number 33, Calvin Murray, out of Ohio State, but it comes out to the 20-yard line.
From the 20, number 1, AC in motion. 2nd and 10, Abear across the middle. Complete to Garrett Holloway. Garrett Holloway, 5'7", 165-pounder out of Arkansas. Jeff Harper made the stop. He is the linebacker out of Colorado State.
Another good underneath route. Now watch the wide receiver on the right, Derek Holloway. It clears out for him, and then he comes underneath. Jeff Harper, number 55, is on the coverage for the goal.
Now, pound for pound, this might be the strongest man in all of professional football. Watch him
Out of the University of Arkansas. See, he runs slow. He lets it clear. He's underneath.
He's watching, and look how the concentration, because he's hit
Just as he catches the ball.
difference in size for Holloway. Bench press is 365 pounds. Structured by me. 35, Abear to throw, complete to Miller. 30, 32-yard line. He's hit hard there. It is a first down for the Panthers.
Gary Miller playing quite well this afternoon. He struggled early in the year.
14 carries, 35 yards, and
One of those carries was for a 19-yard touchdown.
so he struggled the rest of the time.
Bobby Hebert worked up to the 500 mark. He's now 7 of 14 for 63 yards, and of course he threw that touchdown pass to Anthony Carter. That's why they lead 7-6. Miller's at the setbacks. All the way to the top of the screen. First and 10 from the 21.
Leo Miller.
Good running there before the strong safety Tom Sullivan brings him down.
Tom Sullivan's a nice story. 5'11", 190
Pounder of UCLA. He was a scholarship player and eventually earned his scholarship and became quite a starter in that backfield. Probably one of the smartest NCAA safeties there was last season. They missed him the last 2 weeks. We're glad to have him back in the secondary. Steve Trimble has played this place.
And then put a fine job out there, former Maryland Terrapin. We're down to 7:42 first quarter.
First half of it. Second and 3 from the 38. The Bulls show blitz and they bring it. Miller pops across the 40 to the 43-yard line. Leo Miller. They showed blitz, but they handled the blitz and they went right into it and they picked up good yardage on the left side. Of course, there's a fellow over there named Tyrone McGriff. You don't mind running behind. Big, strong Tyrone McGriff, 265 pounds. Acquired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Part of the best offensive line that money could buy in 1983. Of course, notably missing this year is Tom Northrup. You know, wore number 63 last year. He's out for the season with a knee injury.
Leo Miller, Gary Miller, your backs. Leo Miller's brother Carl led Arkansas on rushing this past season. First down. The sideline got it incomplete. Intended for
Terry Miller. Good coverage up there by Greg Griffin, the linebacker. Excellent coverage on Miller as he ran a flat pattern. The protection was there, but there was nobody to show the hole was open. The Cajun Cannon, what a story he was in 1983. He improved progressively throughout the season. This is a guy who was not even a quarterback until his senior year of high school. He played tight end and defensive back in high school. Quarterback his senior year, improved all through college. To be quarterback of the year in the USFL in 1983. At Northwestern State, he played with 3 other fullbacks. Mark Cooper, Dolphins, Victor Anderson, and late Joe Delaney of the Chiefs.
complete to Cobb across midfield into Denver territory. Mike Cobb out of Michigan State.
He's a big target,
6'5", 255-pounder.
Tyrone McGriff is still hot, and there is a flag, and I think it's going to be against Tyrone. Tyrone McGriff seems to dominate his man right there, number 77, Dave Stalls. Rides him down. Now watch what happens. Stalls comes up, gives him an elbow. And here's one back, in your face. Two NFL veterans right there, and those two are loads. This doesn't surprise me. The fur's going to fly today before this one's over. Tyrone McGriff showed his experience there, though. Before he came back from another lick, he went to get his own. Good idea. These are two teams that are very physical. They are not intimidated by one another. The Denver Gold had a reputation as being one of the most physical teams in the league last year. The declaration by Dave Kaminsky, the referee. So you're talking about holding against unsportsmanlike conduct. They will replay the down. So it'll be 2nd and 10 from the 42. It's going to get lively here today. I just have a feeling. Tremendous crowd at Mile High Stadium, the biggest one thus far for the Michigan Panthers. The whole stadium's rocking. Carter, Holloway, the wideout, Today here to throw. Looks for Holloway, and it's complete. Outstanding catch by Derek Holloway. Nick Miller was the defensive back, but Holloway was high to make the reception. does so well. He throws these intermediate routes a little bit deeper than most quarterbacks. Watch as you see Derek Holloway running a deep curl-in route, and number 23, Nate Miller, is right there to make the tackle. But look at the hand-eye coordination, the concentration as he's hit hard and he goes down to the ground. Out of Arkansas, he was overshadowed by Gary Anderson in publicity there, but there was a real sweeper for the Panthers in 1983, and he's continued here in 1984.
The goal drop off, show man-to-man coverage from the 42. First down. The give is to Miller. And Cleo takes it to the left side, picks up some good blocks, and rambles down to the 37-yard line before Nate Miller pulls him down there.
Gets confusing, doesn't it? Cleo Miller, Terry Miller, Nate Miller. You got Millers all over the place.
Both fine athletes. Terry Miller, 5'10", 196 pounds, as you said, Cup, out of Oklahoma State.
Played for Jim Stanley at Oklahoma State at one point. Anyway, as you pointed out, runner-up for the Heisman Trophy behind Earl Campbell in 1977. In his rookie season, Terry Miller gained over 1,000 yards for the Buffalo Bills. We're talking about Terry Miller. That's Cleo Miller there. Out of Arkansas, fifth all-time rusher for the Cleveland Browns.
10-year veteran. Second and 6 from the 38 in the crowd. No defense. Inside handoff to Miller. Breaks it inside the 30 to the 26-yard line. There's good speed for those times.
So it is interesting to note that the normal starting backfield of Williams and Lacey, replaced today by the Miller boys, they don't lose a whole lot. They don't lose a whole lot with the Cleo Miller and Terry Miller.
Big, strong, bruising running backs. John Williams out with a sprained ankle. Ken Lacey at home with a separated shoulder. We thought he would be here today. He wanted to play. He wanted to take it and go. And if the game was tight, we thought we'd see him. He didn't make the trip. Cleo Miller. Run with the 13 yards and now has 42 yards and 7 carries. Hebert, first and 10 to the 26. Under pressure. Throws the out pattern. Complete to Miller. Inside the 15-yard line. That's Terry. David Martin made the stop. Easy, he'll straddle Villanova. And Bobby Hebert now heated up. Boy, he does have a gun, doesn't he?
This is one of the things that we talked about. This is why he's known as the Cajun Cannon. He throws all types of routes, the underneath routes, the intermediate, and the deep routes. Now watch, under pressure, he throws this ball along the sidelines, right there to number 43, Terry Miller. And David Martin, number 13, is right there to make the hit. Hebert's college coach at Northwestern State, Louisiana. Terry Bradshaw when they were in high school. On the 15 with 3:22 and a half. Michigan works first and 10. Straight up the middle. Cleo Miller spinning and driving for extra yardage.
Running the clock and picking up yards. The stop was by John Bungar out of Cal State Fullerton.
So this has been a textbook drive thus far for the Panthers. They're doing all of the things that they do best, dominating with a strong tackle-to-tackle running game, and Hebert throwing all types of passes.
The Michigan Panthers second in the USFL total offense, although it was the offense last week, which gave up 17 points on an interception, a blocked punt. It could go deep. Split back. Instead, they give it to Cleo Miller, who looks for a block and can't find it. Good penetration out on the corner by Greg Gherkin, the linebacker, and Tom Sullivan came up to fill.
Making the stop for Denver.
Here is a good look at a guard pulling. Watch Ray Penny, number 74, out of the University of Washington, pulling from right to left. Gets the block on number 53, Gherkin. But Gherkin does a good job of losing the block there, regaining his balance, and ultimately making the tackle.
You know, last year when the season began, the Panthers were 1-4, including a loss to the lowly Washington Federals at the time. But they went out and they bought some talent, namely Tom Dornbrook, Ray Penny, and Tyrone McGriffin. It made all the difference in the world. They won 13 of their last 15 games, and they're threatening here again against the Denver Gold.
This is a critical drive for the Michigan Panthers. Leading 7-0, they're threatening again. Now keep in mind, Cupper Denver had its opportunities early. They moved the ball twice, handed over both times, and now they've got to stop Michigan here. This is an important point in the football game for the Denver Gold. The crowd here yelling, defense, defense. It's been an 8-minute drive. 3rd and 2 from the 7 across the middle is Cobb down to the 1. That's Don Eccles replacing Mike Cobb. And he's down to the 1-yard line.
Bears pass is complete to Don Eccles for Panthers.
Tight end Don Eccles lining up on the left. Now, inside release, he's going on a crossing route. He's the underneath man. Hebert throws the ball with nice touch. And number 21, David Dumars, one of the outstanding athletes in the secondary for the Gold, makes the tackle and pushes him back.
You know what they did, Cupper? They came in with 2 tight ends. And Don Eccles, the Oklahoma State product, who played for Jim Stanley there, came in and ran the little drag pattern. Good play. Had me confused. 1st and goal from the 2. Again, everybody in tight. Power formation. Gold line defense by the Gold. Miller close. No signal yet.
Terry Miller, the ball carrier.
Bring up 2nd and goal.
Runs off tackle right in behind Ray Finney and Tony Osmond, number 74 and 75. Good power play off that right side. I thought momentarily that he was in there.
There's the beef. Ray Penny, 256. Tony Osmond, 255.
Ball inside the 1-yard line.
It's a big offensive line. It goes 250, 267, 265, 256, and 255. 2nd and goal. The nose of the ball, almost touching the goal line. Quarterback sneak by Hebert. Still no signal. Good penetration on defense by Pat Ogren. No, sir.
By the quarterback, Bobby Hebert.
That brings the crowd to its feet.
Going to be 3rd and inches.
And the Michigan Panthers one timeout to talk this one over. So the Denver Gold have raised their back. Strong defense at the goal line. The score remains the same, 7-0. The Panthers have gone 80 yards in 15 plays. It's 3rd and inches with 25 seconds in the half. The crowd wants defense. So does Craig Morton. The give. Miller, touchdown, Panthers.
What a drive that was, taking up over 10 minutes. The first drive took up 6 minutes and 57 seconds. So what Michigan has done is exactly what they like to do. They have controlled the football and have really been in charge of the clock. Watch the blocking on the left side. Tyrone McGriff, Chris Godfrey. Here comes Terry Miller on the power play. There's Tyrone pulling, and he's right in behind. What a smack there by the lead block by number 33, fullback Cleo Miller on number 21, David Dumars.
Number 3, Novo Bojovic to attempt the extra point. Bad snap. He still gets it up, and it's good.
The extra point is good.
Trouble with the snap. But Novo Bojovic is now 2 for 2 on the extra points, and the Michigan Panthers have taken a 14-0 lead with 22 seconds remaining in the half. Leonard Harris is the deep man for the Denver Gold. He is flanked by John Arnold and Anthony Allen. That's Leonard Harris, 5'8", 185-pound speedster out of Texas Tech. Novo Bojovic will kick it away, number 3. He's from Titograd, Yugoslavia, and went to school with Central Michigan here in the United States.
Notice what's on his left hand, a glove filled with garlic.
I want to know why. Short kick. Allen, 25-30, picks up a block across the 20, rather, and to the 22-yard line.
Well, it's to keep the vampires away. I mean, anybody would know that.
The garlic
keeps the vampires out of the stadium.
I'll guarantee you, he's not very popular in the locker room. 14-0. 16 seconds remaining in the first half. So now it's up to Craig Penrose and the Denver Gold to try to get something on the board here in a hurry, but they don't have much time to do it. So they split everybody out wide. To the bottom of your screen is Leonard Harris. Andrew Bailey goes to the top. And now in motion. From the 23, Penrose goes underneath to Bo Matthews. Matthews can't get out of bounds to stop the clock. Would be a yard shy of a first down. And that could be the first. It is. It's a timeout by the Michigan Panthers. Why would the Michigan Panthers take a timeout? I think the official must be making a mistake. That has to be gold.
Has to be. Michigan, very impressive after faltering in their first possession. The second possession, they went for a touchdown and used up 6 minutes and 57 seconds on the clock. On that last drive, they used up 9 minutes and 42 seconds. So they have been in control of the ball and in control of the ball game.
A couple of them on the field right now. Active linebackers for the Michigan Panthers. Last play of the half, Craig Penrose, shotgun formation. Penrose puts it up for grabs, hoping for a deflection. Instead, it is intercepted by David Greenwood, and that's the end of the half. So, 2 very long drives by the Panthers, and that's the difference. We'll be back with today's halftime activities after this message and a word from our local stations.
I'm Jim Lampley at ABC Sports Control in New York. Welcome again at halftime with you, those of you who are watching the Michigan-Denver game. Let's bring you up to date on what's happening elsewhere in the United States Football League. First of all, in the Jersey Meadowlands, it is tied up at 7-7 between the New Jersey Generals and the Philadelphia Stars. The Generals scored first in this ball game after a long drive in which they effectively mixed the running of fullback Maurice Carthen and Herschel Walker. It was Carthen who got the touchdown on a 1-yard run, and the Generals led at that point 7-0. But then, with a long drive, 16 plays, 78 yards, Philly came back to score on this spectacular Willie Collier catch of a 7-yard Chuck Fusina pass. It is 7-7 right now, and they're late in the second quarter, Philadelphia and New Jersey. Down in New Orleans, in the Superdome, you already know that Marcus Dupree scored a touchdown in his very first professional carry. Right now, it is 14-14 in that ball game. Let's take a look at how they got to that juncture, 14-14. Of course, this was Dupree's first United States Football League carry. 1 yard out, the arms in the air, the touchdown. It was 7-0 New Orleans. That was set up by a Ben Needham fumble recovery, and Marcus's teammates were quite happy for the newcomer. Alan Reed came back to score on a 15-yard run for Memphis, which tied it back up at 7-7. But then Dupree had the answer again as New Orleans once again got into scoring position, and this time from 2 yards out, Marcus on the same play, sweep right, scored again. It was 14-7, favor of Dick Curry's New Orleans Breakers. But then late in the second period, Walter Lewis, who has started off hot for the Memphis Showboats, threw this 30-yard touchdown pass to Cormac Carney, formerly from UCLA. Carney's touchdown made it 14-14 as the Breakers and the Showboats are tied up. Elsewhere, Houston and Chicago, Jim Kelly having another good game, 2 touchdown passes for the Gamblers, and they lead the Blitz 24-16. San Antonio and Oklahoma, a 30-yard interception return for Lee Wilson has made it 7-0 in favor of the Outlaws. Birmingham and Pittsburgh, a lot of interesting personalities in this game. Mike Rozier once again moving slowly. 6 carries, 14 yards, 1 fumble before the sellout crowd of 57,000 in Three Rivers Stadium. The fumble set up a Joe Cribbs touchdown, which has given Birmingham an 18-3 lead. Cribbs 10 carries for 54 yards and a TD in the game. Cliff Stout, returning to the scene of his year as quarterback of the Steelers this past year in Three Rivers Stadium, is 1 for 6 for only 23 yards in the air for Birmingham. Doesn't need to throw it much, though, as the Stallions are on top in that one, 18-3. Later in the day, the Los Angeles Express will be at Oakland to play the Invaders. Steve Young's debut in an Express uniform will have to wait at least another week. He won't play today. And coming up, immediately following this commercial message, we're going to be bringing you a story about the new box office darlings of the United States Football League, the team that drew a sellout today in Three Rivers Stadium, the Pittsburgh Maulers. Blue collar, a shot and beer place. But today, it is a city with a new image. Not steel mills, but steel and glass skyscrapers and almost 3 million people. And during its 20 years of transition, Pittsburgh has remained an avid football town. The Steelers of Mr. Art Rooney, Harris, Green, Swan, and Bradshaw are household names here. But now the city has begun a romance with the Pittsburgh Maulers of the United States Football League. One of the 6 expansion franchises in 1984, this afternoon the Maulers are making history. Their first game in Three Rivers Stadium is a paid sellout without promotions or giveaways. More than 57,000 tickets sold. It came as a surprise. Not even the president of the Maulers expected a full house.
Well, we're a little bit surprised that we were able to sell out. Some people are. there were various predictions as to how many season tickets we would sell and how many people we would have at our opening game. But we were able to, early on with our marketing surveys, identify a demographic of people who have been precluded from season tickets in this market, obviously because of the Steelers. The Steelers began to sell out in 1973, and if you wanted to see them live, you couldn't do that.
The Maulers were not an immediate box office attraction. Stadium lease wasn't approved until late November, and by early January, only 6,000 season tickets had been sold. But things changed dramatically when owner Edward DeBartolo signed Heisman Trophy winner Mike Rozier to a multi-million-dollar contract. Rozier gave the Maulers instant acceptance, instant credibility. Suddenly, there were long lines at the ticket window, 5,000 season tickets sold in a week. Advertisements urged people to buy their way into future sellouts now. Flashy television commercials said the same.
It's coming. March 1984. USFL action comes to Pittsburgh. The Maulers' historic first season at Three Rivers. Call 642-2067 and be a part of Pittsburgh sports history.
Today's sellout in Pittsburgh and the Maulers' sale of nearly 20,000 season tickets is quite an accomplishment for an expansion franchise. Right now, the Maulers are a curiosity. But if any town is willing to support a team built around one big-name player and a coach whose name is Joe Pendry, it may just be Pittsburgh. The question is the same in every USFL city. It may be easiest to answer here. Will Pittsburgh support the Maulers?
We have to do a lot of positive things. I mean, we have to create pleasant experiences at Three Rivers for the people who come to see our games. A love affair doesn't happen instantaneously. I think the fans are going to wait and see. The credibility to this franchise has been established, and certainly Ed DeBartolo had an awful lot to do with that. Now the team has to perform. We have a sellout Sunday. We are encouraged with the volume of our season ticket sales. And with the picking up of the economy, we think it will last. But certainly we have to be respectable, and we have to play the hard-nosed, tough type of professional football that the football fans in Pittsburgh are used to.
You look at the halftime stats. Remember how we talked about the time of possession numbers? Look now, 18-12, and in total yards now, 141-99. But something that's not shown there that is extremely important in terms of third down efficiency, Michigan is 6 of 7 in third down conversions. Denver is only 2 of 5. That's why they've been able to hold on to the football. That's why they've been in charge here in the first half.
I understand that Jim Stanley had quite a week of practice. He was very upset last week when the offense gave up 17 points in that ball game, and also the special teams had 2 punts blocked in the first 2 games, and they had none blocked last year, so he actually went after them pretty hard this week. Very tough week of practice, and evidently they are responding.
They practiced, of course, inside. Weather has been very bad in Michigan. They practiced inside the Silver Dome. They are playing outside now on natural turf.
That's the kicker for the Denver Gold, Brian Spielman. He's out of Capital College, 5'11", 185 pounds. The deep men that will receive for the Michigan Panthers. On the right is Walter Boughton, number 24 out of Jacksonville State. Bobby Futrell, a speedster out of Elizabeth City. Elizabeth City, isn't that where Johnny Walton coached?
Absolutely, and played.
Quarterback of the New Orleans Breakers.
Threw for nearly 4,000 yards last year when he was with the Boston Breakers, and was sacked only 8 times, a league low.
Not a high kick, but it is a long one, and Boughton takes it 3-4 yards deep in the end zone and very wisely elects not to run it out. So the Michigan Panthers will have it first. Let me set that offensive lineup for you. The quarterback is still Bobby Hebert. The running backs Cleo Miller and Terry Miller. The tight end is Mike Cobb. He'll be number 89 rather. Caught a pass in 23 consecutive ball games. The offensive line, Tony Osmond, Ray Penny, Wayne Radloff, Tyrone McGriff, Chris Godfrey in the wideouts, Derek Holloway and Anthony Carter. First and 10, Michigan from the 20. Holloway and Carter, the bottom of your screen. Twins to the right side. Now Carter goes in motion. Miller across the 30 to the 35-yard line, or the 25-yard line, rather. trying to give them 10 yards.
Picking up right where they left off in the second quarter. Hoping to dominate with a good tackle-to-tackle running game and eat up the clock. They've got a nice lead now. They would like, ideally, Tim, to freeze the football. And I think this is going to be an important defensive sequence right now for the Gold, because certainly the momentum in the second quarter turned in favor of Michigan.
That Gold defense, Dave Stolz, Pat Ogren, Calvin Turner, the three men up front. Greg Durkin, Jeff Harper, John Bogarts, and Kelvin Newton are the linebackers. This is Cleo Miller. Cleo Miller gets a block and turns it loose up to the 35-yard line. David Dumars and Kelvin Newton make the stop there. The defensive secondary, a good one for Denver. David Martin, David Dumars, Tom Sullivan, and Nate Miller. David Martin, David Dumars, both all-pro last year in their first USFL season.
Cleo Miller really running that left side that time with a lot of intensity, a lot of up and down moves. He had the wiggle. He's here to play. 11 yards on that one. 10 now. 10 carries now for 60 yards on the day for Cleo Miller out of the University of Arkansas. Spent a lot of seasons with the Cleveland Browns.
He only had 2 carries coming into this ball game for 9 yards and 1 touchdown. First and 10 from the 36. Hebert going long, looking for Holloway. Incomplete. The Denver fans look for a flag, but there is none. Nate Miller, number 23, was the defensive back out there. He wants offensive pass interference call.
That's the kind of play where you almost always see a flag. Bobby Hebert, he's going deep. You know it right away. 7-step drop. Looks to his left. Makes a good move to his left, and he's aiming for Derek Holloway. Now watch along the left sideline and see if indeed Derek Holloway does push off. You can't get a real good look at it there, but it appeared that there might have been offensive pass interference.
Hebert threw that ball 57 yards in the air. He's now 10 of 19 for 95 yards. Carter in motion. Hebert to throw again on 2nd and 10. Drops it over the middle. Mike Cobb, the tight end, takes it across the 40 to the 41-yard line, and he is met there by some big horses. Kelvin Newton, Big Matthews. Let's go downstairs now to Bob Bruce.
Tim, Craig Penrose is still warming up behind me, but he's just informed me he will not return for the first offensive series for Denver. That means that Ron Reeves will now be the quarterback, because Bob Galliano is on the developmental squad, and they don't want to play him because then they can't put him back on that squad. Another injury note for Michigan. John Arnaud, free safety, is out for the rest of the game, a shoulder and rib problem. Back up to Tim and Lee.
Okay, so Penrose sits down. Ron Reeves, the 2-year veteran out of Texas Tech, will be the quarterback when the Gold get the ball. But first they have to stop Michigan. 3rd and 4, Panthers from the 42. It's the penalty cup.
Delay of the game, I bet.
If that's the case, the clocks are wrong.
Well, the false start in the 70s, the offense.
Shows how much I know.
Well, they had 3 seconds on the 30-second clock, but it was Chris Gottfried who moved a little bit. Chris Gottfried, the left tackle, 6'4", 250-pounder out of Michigan.
Tim, I think we should restate for some of the folks that might be joining us late that Craig Penrose spent some time in the hospital earlier this week. He's had the flu, had congestion, fever, feeling generally run down, and he looked lethargic, I felt, in warm-ups, but he had a fairly good first half statistically. However, he admitted earlier that he was weak.
6 defensive backs for the Gold. McLean in motion. This is 3rd and 9. Hebert with pressure. The blitz is on. And Hebert goes down. Darrell Hemphill makes the sack. They used 6 defensive backs. They brought Hemphill, number 25, through clearly. West Texas State, 6'1", 195-pounder, and he was untouched.
Oh, this is something I remember well. Now watch Hemphill, number 25. Well, it's Tom Sullivan, the free safety, and Hemphill. We got both safeties coming that time. It's a double safety blitz.
That's a gutsy call, especially against a passing team like Michigan. It looks like the block is on. Everybody loads up front for the Goal. David Greenwood to punt it away. He's got a 41-yard average, hangs this one high and low near the sideline. David Martin picks up 4 on the return, and he's knocked out of bounds there. So the Denver Gold will have the ball when we come back, and the new quarterback is Ron Reeves.
We're powerful if we stick together. Let's go.
This message was furnished by the United States Football League.
So the Michigan Panthers set up their defense. The new quarterback for the Denver Gold is Ron Reeves. Played last year with the Montreal Concords in the CFL. Has not thrown a pass in this league. Lone setback, Harry Sidney. His first pass, now complete. Vincent White across midfield. So his first pass is complete. David Greenwood, John Corker make the stop. That's got to make Reeves feel very comfortable. 6'2", 215-pounder out of Texas Tech.
That's a good way to build your confidence. Come right out with a hitch pattern or any of the underneath routes. This is a guy who has not thrown a pass. He had not thrown a pass until that one for the Denver Gold, but played a lot last year up in Canada, had a good career at Texas Tech, and one of his receivers there was his wide receiver here, number 80, Leonard Harris.
Two tight ends, the lone wide receiver, Elmer Bailey, bottom of your screen, the give. Vincent White looks for help, doesn't find it, gives up the football. The Michigan Panthers say they have it. And they do. Turnover, Denver. The Panthers get it back. Big number 98, Allen Hughes, comes up with the football, shows it to us. He's 6'3", 260-pounder. And when he says he's got the ball, very few people will take it away from him.
Not too many folks can argue with that big guy. Nose tackle, Allen Hughes, number 98.
John Banaszak was the man that made the hit. He's out of Eastern Michigan, another Pittsburgh Steeler. Played in the Super Bowl. He's got 3 rings and 1 from the USFL. So Michigan's got the ball and a 2-touchdown lead.
Watch the hit on Vincent White by number 76, defensive end John Banaszak. Here comes the hit right now. And here's where Vincent White loses the football right there. And watch for nose tackle number 98, Allen Hughes, to cover the ball for the Michigan Panthers. They are inside the 50-yard line. Good field position.
Big John Banaszak, most valuable player in Super Bowl 13 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 10:54, third quarter. First and 10 from midfield. Bear to Anthony Carter, complete to the 30. Down inside the 25 and almost gets away. Shoestring tackle by number 23, Nate Miller, brings him down. Anthony Carter almost had himself another touchdown.
This is one of the routes that is so effective for Anthony Carter as he runs a deep drag in route, because once again, as soon as he gets into the open field, he has so much speed and so much open field ability that he can break one and many times take it the distance, as he almost did there had it not been for a shoestring tackle by Nate Miller. There it is. He's running the crossing route. And look how he almost breaks it. It's a shoestring tackle by number 23, Nate Miller, that saves the touchdown.
You know, Anthony Carter and Holloway, I think, get into the open area of his zone better than any receivers that you'll see this year. First and 10 from the 17. Bear looks for a Holloway, complete. Is he in? They're going to down him on the 1-yard line. Bear to Derek Holloway.
Exactly as you were just saying, they have the ability to find the open area of the zone coverage. And you know, we talked about this earlier. You notice how they run their routes a little bit deeper than almost any receivers in the league? They run those curl ends at about 18 yards. And they run their sideline cuts deeper. They run their hooks deeper. And so once they get the ball, they are in good open field position, and both of them have the speed and looseness and the ability to break the big play in the open field.
Not a bad secondary they're running against either. Denver has 2 All-Pros in the secondary. First and goal from the 1. The setback, Cleo Miller, Terry Miller. Cleo Miller leads the way. Terry Miller follows him and scores. Left side, touchdown, Michigan. His second touchdown of the day. And all of a sudden, Michigan is breaking it wide open.
That looked like a replay of the last touchdown. Power play off the left side featuring Terry Miller. Let's see if the guard pulls. He does. There's the lead block once again by Cleo Miller. Tyrone McGriff pulling. Terry Miller just following his blockers into the end zone.
Wayne Radloff, 265. Tyrone McGriff, 267. Chris Godfrey, 250. They followed him twice now, and it's worked both times for touchdown. Obiovich, he is good as gold, and they have Denver down by 3 touchdowns now. And the crowd here of nearly 50,000 at Mile High Stadium doesn't like it one bit. High kick taken on the 2. John Arnold looking for the funnel, finds it across the 20 to the 25, tries to get outside, takes it up to the 30-yard line before he's finally knocked out of bounds. Well, the hero of the day has been Terry Miller, and right now he's with Bob Bruce.
Thanks, Tim. 1 touchdown last week, 2 touchdowns today in front of your hometown, Colorado Springs. You got a lot of friends here today.
Oh, definitely. And quite a few people that I'm familiar with from when I was in high school and even in college. And some of the Gold players when I was with them last year. But it's just a great feeling to be ahead at this point.
Tell me about the touchdown and the block.
Well, what happened is the offensive line just blew them off the ball, and there's really nothing for me to do but get it across the line.
Back upstairs to Tim and Lee.
Terry Miller, 5 carries, 13 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has 3 touchdowns now this year. Ron Reed looking for help. Across the middle, complete. Into Michigan territory goes Leonard Harris, number 80.
There's the old Texas Tech battery. It's Ron Reed's number 11 throwing the ball to his wide receiver, number 80, Leonard Harris. Harris is running a deep drag-in route. However, I'm afraid, Tim, that a penalty is going to bring the ball back. It was Reeves who convinced the Gold to go after Leonard Harris because he knew his routes from college. He's a little guy, 5'8", and 185, but he can fly. He's the fastest man on the team, even faster than Kevin Williams. Here's the call.
52, offense, holding, first down.
That's Tommy Davis, the center out of Nebraska.
That's a tough play. That is a tough call right there for the Gold because they needed that first down. That's something that would have put them in excellent field position. And now they are going to lose something because of it.
Tommy Davis is a 6-year veteran, played for the Broncos, started every game for the Gold last year. He should have known better. First and 20 from the 22 for Reed. And again they move. This time it's George Yarno, another 6-year veteran. The guard, and again they'll move the Gold back. This is where a young guy like Ron Reeves really has to take charge and talk to his linemen. Somehow their concentration.
False start, offense, number 66, first down.
Sometimes just a little thing like the way the quarterback calls cadence can have an effect on the offensive line. They get used to one rhythm with a Craig Penrose, for example, then someone else comes in who can throw you off just a little bit.
Terrible mental breakdowns, and all of a sudden, this huge crowd at Mile High Stadium is going silent. Concentration's been broken, and now it's first and 25 from the 17. The draw play. Sidney. Harry Sidney picks up a few, but not many when they have that much yardage to make up.
Harry Sidney has been pretty quiet today, Tim, but he is their best all-purpose player. Good one out of Kansas.
Why has he been quiet?
I don't know.
Let's go down and ask him.
He's not getting to talk much, I guess. 5 carries, 17 yards. I'd say for him that's pretty quiet.
And then Williams comes to the bottom of the screen. The top is Elmer Bailey. The quarterback is Steve Ron Reeves. From the 19-yard line. Second down, 23. Pressure, backside, throws across the middle, and the ball is tipped by John Corker, the linebacker. John Corker with good pressure on Reeves. I don't know if he made the tip, but I know he made the hit on Reeves. And he made his presence felt.
Reeves hit on the play by John Corker.
Here is the sack man, number 57 out of Oklahoma State, 6'6", 230 pounds. Look at, he jumps over the blocker right there, comes around on the blind side, and causes Reeves to throw a wounded duck up in the air. 28 and a half sacks in 1983.
Shotgun formation for Denver now on 3rd and 23. Across the middle, incomplete, thrown behind the receiver. The receiver was John Arnold. and that was a poorly thrown ball. Again, Michigan does so many things very well on defense. They mix things up. They give you different looks. They disguise the defense. They do things that you see in the NFL that this team really hasn't developed yet because of the lack of depth. Things like combination defenses, Cup, where they play maybe man-to-man on one side and zone to the backside, and they'll mix things up.
Well, you're an old defensive player yourself. What can that mean to a defensive player when you have that kind of sophistication?
Oh, it gives you extra confidence, and it frees a lot of people up. John Corker, for instance, he knows when he's going, he's got other help coming. He's playing games inside. It's more sophisticated. He's got a better chance of coming free.
All right.
Steve Gortz to punt it away. And he needs a good one. Doesn't get a great one. Walter Boughton will let it hit. Anthony Carter touches it. And Denver can't control it. All Denver had to do was fall on the football and recover it. And they knocked it out of bounds instead. So a great opportunity to get the football back on a turnover. And they blow it. They knock it out of bounds, and Michigan will retain possession. The score remains the same with 7:46 in the third quarter. Michigan 21, Gold. So Michigan still has the ball with a 21-0 lead. It wasn't a very wise play, Cup.
Tim, this is not one of Anthony Carter's wiser decisions because, as you can see there, he's not in a good position to try to field the ball. And Hemphill comes along, and it looks momentarily like he's going to control the ball and keep it for the Gold, but he never gains real possession. So because of that, Michigan regains the ball on the 44-yard punt.
And they now have it on the 46. Holloway and Carter. The bottom of your screen, Carter goes in motion. John Williams, number 40 in the ball game now. He'll lead the way for Cleo Miller. Let's go back to New York now for a USFL report, and here is Jim Lampley.
Then out in the Meadowlands, the New Jersey Generals have taken the lead over the Philadelphia Stars after a Kelvin Bryant fumble at the 42. 42-yard drive was climaxed by Maurice Carthan's 1-yard run. The key play of the drive, a 20-yard run by Herschel Walker to the 1, and it's 14-7 Generals in the Meadowlands. Back to Tim Brandt in Denver.
And it's 2nd and 9 here. Lamps from the 40 for the Michigan Panthers. Bobby Hebert heated up in the first half, played well. The give, John Williams, his first carry of the day. Picks up some blocks on the left side. Bangs it out. Fumbles near the 48-yard line.
John Williams, who was listed as doubtful today because of an ankle injury, is normally the starting running back for the Panthers and also has been effective as a return man for them. He's out of Wisconsin and was a consistent player for them most of last season.
Led the team in touchdowns last year with 13. 5'11", a 205-pounder. Coming into this ball game, he had 15 carries, 56 yards, and those are the feet of John Corker. Loves to put that logo on his spats.
Loves to put his trademark on quarterbacks. You know, he had 28.5 sacks last season.
How'd he get the half?
Hit one guy so hard they gave him a sack and a half.
A sack and a half. 28 sacks in one baggie. Score remains the same. 6:29, third quarter. Tim Brandt and Lee Grosscup from Mile High Stadium in Cupper. As you look at the time remaining in the third quarter, how much pressure is on the Gold now?
Oh, a lot of pressure is on them. They've got to get the ball. They're in a catch-up posture right now, and so you got to figure that their game plan has changed from where they were back in the first quarter. They've got to get the ball back and go right to work.
They were outspoken, almost cocky in the newspaper today. 3rd and 1 from the 48. Close to the first down goes Cleo Miller. You know, they were challenging Michigan, as you read the newspapers and the comments that were being made and talking to the players before the game.
I think a little bit of that was false bravado because they knew that they were going up against the defending champion, and I think they wanted to get themselves into a real worked-up state. But Michigan has taken over, and they've done the things that they like to do. They've moved the ball with the ball control running, and Hebert has thrown some good pass drives today.
You saw the graphic. 8 straight wins for the Michigan Panthers. They won 13 of the last 15 games last year on the way to the title. Cleo Miller. Ray Penny gives him a good block in the left corner. David Stalls and Kelvin Newton come up to make the stop. But the old veteran Ray Penny was out there in a hurry, the pulling guard. 6'4", 256-pounder, and he can still run.
Well, you talked about this earlier, Tim, but I think it bears restating that the team was 1-4 early in the season. They went out and acquired 3 key offensive linemen, and that's when things really begin to turn around for them.
And he's a veteran, too, played in 2 Super Bowls, missed the 79 season after an appendectomy. 2nd and 6 from the 47. Hebert under a little bit of pressure, throws to Carter. Carter complete, tries to spin out of the hole of David Martin, but he can't do it. Martin holds on and drags him down, but it's another first down, Michigan.
This is why they call him the Cajun Cannon. Now, this is really the frozen rope. He's throwing to the sideline, and this ball, even though it's a short pass, is really thrown as about a 30-yard bullet, and it comes out of here with a lot of authority. David Martin is right there to shut down Anthony Carter after he catches the ball. But that ball was perfectly thrown. Anthony Carter now 5 catches for 71 yards, 9 yards on that last one, and he has a touchdown.
The clock continues to tick at 4:16 in the 3rd period. From the 38 now, Hebert's got room to work, gives it to Williams up the middle. Inside the 35, they mark it at the 33-yard line.
Ray Penny, number 74, the pulling guard, really gets a shot on number 57, John Bungartz, who is the leading tackle on the team, and that sets up the key trap play for running back John Williams. They really execute the trap plays about as effectively as any team in the USFL.
Holloway at the bottom of your screen, AC, Anthony Carter out of Michigan at the top of your screen. The give again is to Williams. He trips over Hebert. Hebert could be shaken up. He's holding his knee. Obviously a broken play. What a blow that is to the Panthers if he's seriously hurt. The backup quarterback would be Whit Taylor out of Vanderbilt. Had to be a broken play, Lee.
Let's see if we can see where he trips. I think he had a collision with his running back, and I think they locked knees. I think John Williams and Hebert hit each other's knees as he was handing off the ball. And usually with something like that, you figure it's just a bruise. It doesn't look to me like it's torn ligaments or cartilage damage, but no, it's something that could keep him out of action for the rest of the afternoon.
No, you're right. It looked like they just banged knees, and hopefully it's just a bruise. Hebert, 14 of 23, 158 yards and a touchdown. He leads the game, and that's the man we were just telling you about. Number 10, the youngster out of Vanderbilt, Whit Taylor.
What a career he had at Vanderbilt. Sometimes likened to Joe Theismann. He has good mobility.
That's quite a comparison, Joe Theismann. Mobile, strong-arm quarterback of the Washington Redskins. 3rd and 8 from the 36 will be Taylor's first call. He's going to put it up, his first play. Across the middle, he's got it complete. First down, Michigan. That's Mike Cobb. Mike Cobb, one of the leading receivers for Michigan, led the team in receptions last year with 61. And he has a reception in every game for the last 23. Quite a consistent performer. The drag across the middle.
Interesting how all the new quarterbacks we've seen lately always seem to complete their first pass. Whit Taylor, straight drop back here. Mike Cobb on a crossing route. One thing about Whit Taylor, he has a lot of confidence. He throws the ball with a lot of authority. He's not afraid to go right to work. Cobb now 3 catches for 33 yards.
Talented youngster, came in last year, replaced Hebert against Arizona and went 5 for 8 for 198 yards. Inside handoff, picks him up a few. That's Cleo Miller again.
Early in the season against the Oakland Invaders, the same thing happened. Actually, Hebert was wild, and they put Whit Taylor in to settle things down. Then Hebert came back later, and he was hot. Cleo Miller getting up slowly.
Cleo Miller, no youngster, 10-year veteran. He will leave the ball game, and in will come Lenny Patrick, the rookie out of Alabama. So now the crowd comes to life on 2nd and 7. The call goes up for defense. Denver shows zone. Patrick will carry it. And he gets up close to a first down. John Bungartz makes the stop. But again, he's following Radloff and Tyrone McGriff and Chris Godfrey on the left side. Let's find out about Bobby Hebert and the extent of that injury. Here's Bob Bruce.
Well, Tim, he has a bruise just above his right knee, and the trainer says that it is giving him a little pain, but he should return for the next series. Back upstairs.
Okay, Bobby. So Bobby Hebert will be back in.
Well, that's good news, and just as we said, we predicted that it was a bruise based on the collision with his running back, John Williams.
Matt Ogren makes the tackle. Steve Johnson is there as well. Lenny Patrick says he's got the first down, Michigan. But there is a flag, and it's against Denver.
There's the infraction right there, Tim, and it's blatant. Number 72, Steve Johnson, crosses the neutral zone prematurely. That's a fancy way of saying he was offside.
Defense, number 79, offside, results in a first down.
Denver's big defensive end, Dave Stalls, has come out of the ball game. He's on the bench. He's shaken up, and the trainers are working on him. Dave Stalls, the starter last year with Tampa Bay, was released, came to Denver. Oakland asked if they could use him, or the Los Angeles Raiders, rather, asked if they could use him. But Denver said sure, and he played in the Super Bowl. Again, the play is whistled dead as Lenny Patrick goes in for the touchdown and slams it anyway, but it'll be called back. This time is against the Panthers. What did you call Stalls?
The Lend-Lease lineman.
I like that.
The happy accident of alliteration.
I like that very much.
It'd be a nice way to go.
Offense number 51. First down.
You've really become quite the word merchant.
There is George Dixon.
Oh, he's an outstanding coach. Look what he's done with Bobby Hebert and the receivers. He coached guys like Larry Brown with the Washington Redskins and Billy Kilmer. Fine teacher. Coached at Notre Dame, went to Notre Dame. Whit Taylor wants timeout to talk things over on 1st and 15. Michigan Panthers are sitting on the 16-yard line with 44 seconds remaining in the third period. And they are trying desperately to break this game wide open and put another 7 points on the board. Greg Morton, who took over for Red Miller late last season, is 3-0 playing in this stadium, but that now, of course, in jeopardy against the Michigan Panthers. He trailed by 3 touchdowns.
Denver has not had a first down in the second half.
Panther offensive line has been dominating. Lenny Patrick, John Williams, the setbacks. Hebert is back in the ball game, and he's going to throw across the middle. Incomplete, intended there for Anthony Carter.
That almost looked like it was a catchable pass by AC. Looked like if he had extended himself a little bit more, he might have caught this ball. Let's watch him isolated here. He's running a post route. He's guarded by Nate Miller, number 23. Has a step on Miller. Now watch right here, because I think Carter extends himself a little bit prematurely. Had he run a little bit longer, maybe 1 or 2 more steps, he might possibly have caught that ball.
Well, you old quarterbacks are really tough on receivers.
You say that every week.
Hebert on second down is taken down by Greg Gherkin on the sack. Big defensive play. Greg Gherkin out of Northern Arizona, 6'4", 230-pounder, had the big play last week to set up the winning touchdown.
Greg Gherkin, the right outside linebacker, number 50, is on the blitz. Looks momentarily like Hebert is going to have time, but right there, Gherkin really comes in on his blind side and upends it. Boy, that was a shot.
Third time Hebert's been sacked this afternoon for 32 yards and losses. He still holds the trump card, though, with 21 points on the board. Lenny Patrick. Lenny Patrick out of Alabama. The rookie was recruited there by Bear Bryant. Did not carry the ball until this afternoon. He was on the developmental squad. United States Football League, Michigan Panthers and the Denver Gold. They will continue after this message and a word from our local stations with the score. Michigan 21, Denver nothing. Novo Bojovic is on to attempt the field goal, and you have to wonder, Cupper, how much the early misses by Brian Spielman for Denver hurt the goal. This is a 42-yard attempt. It's long enough, but it's wide right for Novo Bojovic. And so the Denver Gold has held, and they get the ball back.
Maybe you better put the garlic back in his shoe.
Been a long week for Novo.
Novo Bojovic takes a little bit of a shot here, right here. Now that potentially is roughing the kicker, Tim.
It didn't affect the kick, though. I mean, the kick was away.
After he gets a little whiff of that garlic, he won't come so close the next time.
It's been a long week for him. He got married on Monday. Not much of a honeymoon. First down for the Gold. First pass incomplete, intended for Leonard Harris. Michigan is pretty much dominated.
Tim, as you look at the third quarter numbers, look once again how the time of possession figure. They are now twice. They are 2 times as great in terms of time of possession as the Gold. And look at the total yardage now, 237 to 103. Once again, Denver has not had a first down here in the second half.
Ron Reeves on 2nd and 10 from the 25. Michigan defense drops off, plays zone. Reeves with time, going for Harris. Incomplete, and again the crowd wants pass interference. Incidental contact. Ron Osborne was the defensive back. Clarence Chapman was there, and they almost sandwiched Leonard Harris.
The old Texas Tech battery of Ron Reeves to Leonard Harris. Here is Harris taking an inside move. He breaks up the field, makes a little head fake to the inside, breaks it back to the corner. And now here comes the defensive back, 2 defensive backs, Ron Osborne, number 23, and also number 22, Clarence Chapman, the cornerback right there. No contact, though.
Looked like contact to me. 3rd and 10 from the 25. Shotgun formation. Reeves, plenty of time. Drops it across the middle, incomplete. Intended for Vincent White, and the ball was almost intercepted. Will Coakley had a shot at it and couldn't hold on. Let's go down now to Bob Bruce. Well, Bobby had somebody, and they got away from him down there on the sidelines.
Slippery.
You know, Dave Stahls played against Craig Morton one time in their playing career in the NFL. He said it's great to have a coach and know that you had, at one time, took a shot at him, got a good shot at him, and got away with it.
And was successful, that's right.
Gortz doesn't get a high punt away, but it is a good long one, and it's dropped. Walter Boughton couldn't hold on, so there's no return.
Recovery by Walter Boughton.
47-yard punt, no return. Well, Craig Morton had what he called the plan. He wanted to win his first 2 games and come back home for the first home opener here against the Michigan Panthers, the defending champions, and put 50,000 people in the seats here at Mile High Stadium. We haven't gotten the official attendance yet, but there is a good, solid crowd here. He's got a shot at it.
Part of a campaign called Solid Gold Sunday.
And they've had your troubles this afternoon. 1st and 10 from the 29. The Michigan Panthers, the quarterback, Bobby Hebert. Blitz coming from the goal. Williams, left side, picks up some blocking, finds the funnel, gets out to the 38. Tom Sullivan had to come out of the secondary to make the stop. John Williams looks pretty healthy to me. They said he had a sprained ankle coming in, but it's taped and he's running well.
Tom Sullivan's been busy at his free safety position today. That's good news and bad news. Usually when a safety man is making that many tackles, it means that they're opening some holes in the line. That's a good cut right there. See that cut right there by John Williams? That's what sets it up and gets him free into the secondary. And number 32, free safety man Tom Sullivan, comes up there and meets him head on.
And he gets the first down. You know, one thing that the backs have been doing all afternoon very well for Michigan is blocking for each other. There's a good block there by Miller.
You know, this foursome, of course, Ken Lacey is not here today, but when he's healthy, you figure Lacey, Williams, Miller, and Miller. That's a real good combination of running backs there.
And you look at the skilled people, the wide receivers, and you have a big tight end like Mike Cobb, the leading receiver, and a strong offensive line. Tough team in the weakest division. 3 expansion clubs there, and Michigan's dominating. Could be 3-0. 13:03 remaining. Williams is high stepping, still going, picks up 1.
They never got him down. What an effort.
He ran 25 yards to gain 1. John Williams. A flag was thrown, face mask was called, and they moved it back against the Denver Gold. So everything's going the way now of the Michigan Panthers. You know, Cup, I saw a report which said the NFL Players Association has budgeted $25,000 to help the players in this league to start a players union.
I read that same thing.
Why not? You know, it's in their best interest, I guess. The USFL offers an alternative, a viable alternative to what was a monopolistic situation. 1st and 1 from the 48 for the Panthers. Hebert to Anthony Carter, complete. Across midfield, down to the 40 to the 38-yard line. He's ridden out of bounds there by Nate Miller. Busy day in the United States Football League. Big crowds. Jim Lampley told you about that. Memphis Showboats now trailing the New Orleans Breakers 27-14 in the 3rd quarter. Marcus Debris, a pair of touchdowns. Houston Gamblers leading the Chicago Blitz 31-29. Oklahoma leading San Antonio 7-0. 3rd quarter score. And a good one that Keith Jackson and Lynn Swan are doing in the East. New Jersey leading that one 17-14. First down, give to Miller. Oh, that's Lenny Patrick back in the ball game. The rookie out of Alabama. He's getting a lot of work now. Didn't have any carries coming into the ball game, but he's been kept busy.
Good opportunity for him to get some professional experience because he's a young man with a lot of potential.
He was rated the 2nd best high school player to Herschel Walker when he was recruited by Bear Bryant. Now has 3 carries, 10 yards. Can that be right? Looks like he has more. Birmingham Stallions leading the Pittsburgh Maulers 24-6. Big day for Cribbs. We saw him break loose last week, getting his rhythm. Good stout. Tough return to Pittsburgh for him. From the 36, 2nd and 8. Anthony Carter's wide open. Watch him dance inside the 25 to the 23-yard line. There is a flag, looks like a face mask. Tom Sullivan says, who, me?
Anthony Carter, who caught 9 passes the last time he was in Mile High Stadium for the championship game, makes catch number 7, and it's his favorite route, the sideline cut right there. He rounds it off, comes back toward the ball. Hebert throws a bullet. 7 catches now for 98 yards. And here's the face mask right there by number 13 of the Denver Gold. That is David Martin, the left cornerback. They're going to mark it off against him.
Martin grabbed AC's face mask, and then AC turned around and grabbed his.
Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 32, a late hit. First down.
I'll tell you something about Anthony Carter. He may only be 5'11", 162 pounds, but he really doesn't take anything off the defensive players. Look at this now. He gets his grab right there, so he reaches out. Now watch. You see right there in the middle of your screen. He grabs out and gets Miller's face mask.
Sure. But the official was blocked, and so he didn't see what AC was doing.
From the 14, 1st and 10, Bobby Hebert has 2 tight ends. Split backs. 1 wide out. Denver jumps. John Williams has a block from the corner, turns it outside to the 12-yard line. Anthony Allen bumps him out of bounds there.
John Williams showing no effects of the injured ankle that we heard about as we look at Jim Stanley. underneath ball handling here. Look at it. Hebert gets some depth, hands the ball back underneath. McGriff, number 61, the pulling guard, leading the way. Good timing. A little hesitation, juke step, a move to the outside. And that helps John Williams pick up some valuable yardage as he's brought down by Dumars and Martin along the sideline.
Michigan knocking on the door one more time, trying to close the door on the Denver Gold. Second down, 7 yards to go for the first. Lenny Patrick inside the 10 to the 6.
Clear down.
They have been effective that way on their drives. They have used up 7, 10, 7. Looks like they're going to use up about another 7 minutes or so on this drive. They've been able to keep the ball and move it toward the end zone.
Don Eccles, Mike Cobb, the 2 tight ends. Third down, 2. Patrick. First down. First and goal, Michigan. Boy, Kelvin Newton, John Bungarts, Jeff Harper, and Greg Durkin, the linebackers for Denver, have had quite a workout. I'm telling you, that Michigan line fires out of there.
Well, they were the premier offensive line in the USFL last year, and even though Tom Dornbrook is out for the year with an injury, they're still very strong.
255 pounds is Osmond, Ray Penny 256, Radloff 265, McGriff 267, Godfrey 250.
That's been the key to the game. They have been in charge of the line of scrimmage.
They know the difference between come here and sick 'em.
I like it.
First and goal from the 2. Williams over the top. Gains 1, will be short of the touchdown.
You know, the game has got very sophisticated, and certainly there's a lot more terminology and nomenclature than there ever was when I was playing. But it really gets back down to the fact that it's a simple game. It's a game of blocking, and it's a game of tackling, and ultimately the team that controls and dominates the line of scrimmage usually wins.
That's a good point. Good point. Michigan has held the ball for well over 12 minutes in the third quarter.
All right, look at just what we were talking about. Look at how Michigan just really blows in there and gives the back a chance to dive over the line.
And here in the fourth quarter, they've held the ball most of the day, most of the time. John Williams, touchdown.
Again, the Panthers win the battle of the line of scrimmage. John Williams just dives over for the touchdown.
The Denver players don't think he got in.
All you have to do is break the plane of the goal line with the football. Slant off left tackle. He dives right here. Walks right here. See that right there?
Second effort.
Second effort is where he breaks the plane of the goal line with the football.
Jovic to make it a 28-point lead. And he does.
Extra point is good by
Jovic. Perfect on the extra points. And John Williams has the touchdown. So right now, the Michigan Panthers lead at 28-0 with 8:34 left from Mile High Stadium. The Denver Gold has never been shut out. The Michigan Panthers have never had a shutout. But with 8 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in this one, we could have some firsts.
Craig Morton frustrated as he paces the sidelines there. Up until now, his plan has been working.
Jovic to kick it off for Michigan. Leonard Harris, Anthony Allen, and John Arnold, the deep men. That's Leonard Harris, the speedster out of Texas Tech. Gets some blocking, finds the corner, takes it up across the 30 to the 33-yard line, maybe up to the 35. Very nice return by Leonard Harris.
With the return for the goal, Leonard Harris. Making the tackle.
You know, Harris led the Southwest Conference in punt returns and kickoff returns in 1983. Very nice return there.
Look at the Michigan drive there. 10 plays, 71 yards. Time of possession again, 5 minutes, 28 seconds. 1-yard scoring run by John Williams. They have scored now in every quarter.
See the baseball infield there, the home of the Denver Bears. First and 10 from the 34-yard line. Ron Reeves is your quarterback for the Denver Gold, trying to set up a little screen pass to Harry Sidney, but nobody's fooled. The Michigan linebacks are there. Let's go downstairs now. Here's Bob Bruce.
I'm with Ray Finney, a man with not one but 2 Super Bowl rings from his years with the Steelers. Ray, from midway the first quarter on, you and your line mates have just been dominating.
We've been pretty intense all week. Coach Stanley was really harping on us all week to have a complete game and play all 4 quarters. I think we came out determined to do that, and we're playing good today.
You're normally a tackle, but you're playing guard because of injuries.
Yeah, I'm getting used to guard. This is my 3rd game now, and I think we're starting to work together as a team a lot better.
So, Tim, no matter how you shuffle the cards, the Michigan Panther offensive line just comes up strong.
I'll tell you what, Bob, he may be a guard and tackle, but he's caught a touchdown pass here. He's caught a touchdown pass with the Steelers, and Chuck Knoll made him a member of the China Doll Club, which was a club that they usually hold for the fragile Steeler receiving corps. Lynn Swan knows about that.
China Doll Club.
Another flag. Things getting sloppy now. Mentioned the baseball infield. The Denver Bears play here. Vern Law, the manager. They're coming up March 31st.
Offense. Second down.
Coming up March 31st, they're going to have a big league game here. The Boston Red Sox come to town to play the Padres. This club, the Denver Gold, will benefit from that, as a matter of fact, because they're going to put down new sod. Part of the agreement. The Bears have to do that. Minutes, 12 seconds remaining in this ball game from Mile High Stadium. 2nd and 16 from the 28 for the Denver Gold. Michigan shows blitz. They bring Corker and Borland. Look out! Bethea takes him down. Larry Bethea tempers Flair. These clubs love to get after each other, and I think right now Denver is extremely frustrated. Larry Bethea, 6'5", 245-pounder, played for the Dallas Cowboys, backed up Dutton, Martin, Too Tall Jones, and an old teammate of mine, Randy White.
A look here at the work of the defensive secondary of the Panthers, and watch the coverage. Nobody open. And that's why right in Larry Bethea, number 79, goes in and gets the hit on quarterback Ron Reeves.
Look at this, Cup. They're playing man-to-man on the far side of the field. You've got the free safety up here just playing center field. And they brought the blitz and played games.
Look how disciplined they are with their coverage.
Boy, Reeves was not ready for that snap. And he throws deep, incomplete. Good coverage by Bobby Futrell. Again, there are flags on the field, and it was intended for Elmer Bailey.
That could be offensive pass interference. Bobby Futrell, number 20, covering wide receiver Elmer Bailey, number 8. Bailey's trying to run a corner route. Now watch right here, and let's see if the contact is offensive or defensive. I think maybe it is. No, my original thought was correct. I think that Bailey, number 83, pushed off Futrell.
I'm not so sure it's pass interference. There was a lot of motion on the line. Reeves was not expecting the snap. Here's the call.
Defensive pass interference, number 20. Illegal motion, offense, number 86. Repeat the down.
Well, we were both right.
I like that.
Isn't that fun when you both get to be right at the same time?
I like it, Cupper. John Williams had a fine afternoon as the running back for the Michigan Panthers. Again, Michigan shows blitz. This time they jumped too early. I think Corker made contact. Reeves is in trouble. He will run out of bounds. And he's hit out of bounds. That'll be roughing the Panthers.
Here come the Gold.
Unnecessary roughness against the Michigan Panthers. John Corker, I think the linebacker, will be called for that. You see him jump here. He made
jumps
contact.
Outside right there, makes the contact. Reeves now running for his life, heads for the right sidelines. And watch what happens as he gets over here near the out-of-bounds marker.
All right, that's Allen Hughes.
Allen Hughes, number 98, pushes him. And then here comes Corker again. And he hits him out of bounds.
How many times have you seen a player get 2 flags in one play?
That's why they call him the sack man. He's determined to get quarterbacks.
I'll tell you, that's how you can get a quarterback hurt, though. Ron Reeves knows it. He's not happy about it. Corker, 28.5 sacks last year, has yet to get one this season.
We had a multiple foul. offense on the defense. We had a personal foul out of bounds. Then takes the personal foul.
So the personal foul takes precedent over the lesser foul, and they're going to mark it off against Michigan. Jim Stanley, you see there, some of the adjectives used to describe him: reserved, pensive, caring, honest, trustworthy, and a stickler for loyalty. As we mentioned earlier, played for Bear Bryant at Texas A&M back in the mid-50s. He's had a lot of coaching experience, but most noteworthy, you think of him as a head coach at Oklahoma State, where he had some great years, and also had some NFL experience as an assistant coach before taking over as head coach for the Michigan Panthers last year.
While at Texas A&M, he played with Jack Pardee, a new coach in this league.
John David Crow there, too.
From the 33, Reeves in a shotgun formation. First down again. Michigan shows blitz, then drops off into a zone. Reeves has some room under the linebackers. And he gets nailed. Kyle Borland, the linebacker, came up to make the stop. The linebackers had dropped into their hook zone and then came up. Frustrating day for Reeves. Birmingham Stallions now lead Pittsburgh 24-12 in the fourth quarter. Big day for Joe Cribbs, 145 yards and 1 touchdown.
Rozier, 8 carries for 24 yards.
It'll take him time. It'll take him time. Houston over Chicago, 38-29 in the fourth quarter.
I like the way Jim Kelly is moving that team.
Took Herschel Walker some time last year. It'll take Rozier some time to get acclimated. 2nd and 3 from the 40. Way overthrown. Almost intercepted by Clarence Chapman, number 22. Intended for Elmer Bailey.
Reeves has a strong arm, as did this man, Craig Morton, out of the University of California. Babe Pirelli. There's 2 legends right there side by side. 2 quarterbacks, Craig Morton and Vito Babe Pirelli out of the University of Kentucky. Babe Pirelli had a head coaching job back in the days of the World Football League with the old New York Stars, and the following year he switched over and he was with the Chicago Wind.
The Chicago Wind. You're bringing them out of the back pocket now, Cover.
74 and 75.
3rd and 3, 5:31 in the ball game. It's Bo Matthews. Bo Matthews out across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Kyle Borland makes the stop along with Robert Pennywell. Michigan does have some outstanding linebackers.
Come on, you're working on a shutout.
Kyle Borland, of course, was the roommate of David Greenwood at Wisconsin.
John Williams played on that team, too. The Badgers are well represented here.
Robert Pennywell, Ray Bentley, John Corker, Kyle Borland. Quite a set of LBs, linebackers.
6:36.
First down for the Denver Gold from the 47. Elmer Bailey in motion. Reeves under pressure. Complete. That's Victor Hicks. And he rambles down to the 31-yard line. Into Michigan territory, and again, tempers flare. Victor Hicks is really having some words now with David Greenwood.
This has been the most effective route for tight end Victor Hicks, number 87. Inside release, down and in. This ball is well thrown by Reeves.
Kyle Borland put the pressure that time on Reeves. He had to get it away in a hurry.
Look at how Vic Hicks moves here in the secondary. He played on a national championship team at Oklahoma back in 1975.
He replaced Bob Nizolik, who was the starting tight end. John Arnold in motion. The fake give to Sidney. Time. Now he throws, and again, it's Victor Hicks. Complete inside the 30, down to the 26-yard line. So Denver may get on the board yet.
Ron Reeves shows me that he has a strong arm. He's throwing the ball today with a lot of authority, despite the fact that he's been under a lot of duress. He replaced Craig Penrose, and if you're joining us late, we told you earlier that Penrose was hospitalized earlier in the week with the flu. He had fever, congestion, was feeling generally run down, looked a little lethargic in the first half, although he did have some impressive numbers. But Ron Reeves now, I think, is throwing the ball with a lot of authority.
And Victor Hicks is shaken up. 62 yards, 4 receptions, the leading receiver for Denver. So while the Michigan Panthers try to hold on to the shutout that they worked so hard for, and the Denver Gold try to get on the board, we'll be right back. The Denver Gold trailing 28-0, Cupper, but I'll tell you, they have not dampened the enthusiasm here. The fans in the Denver Gold, the pure gold right there.
She is one of a group of cheerleaders, one of a group of 24 cheerleaders known as Pure Gold, led by Miss Twirl.
The attendance this afternoon, 41,623 at Mile High Stadium.
They've been making some noise, too.
The Denver organization has to be happy with that. They'd be happy with a touchdown. 3:15 remaining in the ball game. This is 2nd and 6 from the 26. Reeves across the middle, complete. Elmer Bailey inside the 15. So Ron Reeves continues to play quite well out of Texas Tech.
What a player he was in high school. State High School Player of the Year 2 years in a row before he went on to be a 4-year starter at Texas Tech.
1st and 10, they mark the ball on the 13. Mike Hearn drops off now, goes in motion. Looking for the slant in pattern, incomplete, intended for Elmer Bailey.
He threw that into coverage. Linebackers took a good drop that time, but they were right in the way. Namely, those linebackers are Corker and Coakley. Let's watch. See right there? It was Corker who got a hand on the ball. He got his left hand on the ball as Reeves tried to throw a deep slant in.
What an athlete John Corker is. Kicked around with the Houston Oilers, did not get the opportunity he thought he would get there. Came and rejoined here with Jim Stanley, his former coach at Oklahoma State. And now he's playing as well as he ever has. Here he comes on the blitz. Again, Reeves goes across the middle, and this time it's underthrown. Leonard Harris almost caught it on the bounce. There is a flag, and I think they're going to call it against the defense.
Harris is running an in route. There it is, underneath. Leonard Harris, number 80, trying to work his way clear, and Oliver Davis, number 21, is going to get called right there for interference.
It was not a smooth pattern. He ran into John Arnold, his own man, as they crisscrossed.
But he should have hesitated more and let it clear out for him before he came underneath.
Defensive pass interference, number 21, half the distance to the goal line, 1st down.
21 is Oliver Davis, 7-year veteran out of Tennessee State. Played with the Browns and the Bengals. Played in Super Bowl 16.
Against the San Francisco 49ers.
His rights for the Panthers were acquired from the Denver Gold, of all things. Little fade pattern, right side, flags fly again, incomplete. Leonard Harris was the intended receiver. Again, I think they're going to call interference.
The fade route is the ultimate touch and timing route. Let's listen.
Holding against number 22, the defensive back Clarence Chapman.
I think he just grabbed on because he figured he was going to get beat.
It's a smart thing to do. A lot of times the defensive backs are taught to do that.
Defensive holding, number 22, automatic 1st.
You know, with the new pass interference rule in NCAA football that's going to be going into effect this season, I think you're going to see a lot more of that. You know, pass interference now is going to be an automatic 15-yard penalty no matter where it is on the field, as long as the ball is thrown over 15 yards.
The Denver Gold trying to avoid the shutout, 1st and goal from the 4. Harry Sidney, right side, taken down immediately. No blocking. The blocking broke down. Greg Feasel, Matt Miller didn't clear it out the way they should have, and John Corker was there.
Harry Sidney, who is normally their most productive back and their best all-purpose player, has not been particularly active today. He's running from the I-back right here. Tries to get loose around the right side. And look who's there.
John Corker, number 57, came all the way from the backside.
He's an amazing player. He's really at the peak of his form right now.
Faster than gossip. John Corker. Well, that's a 2-minute warning. First and goal from the 5 for Denver when we come back. A reminder that the Pro Bowlers Tour will be seen on the West Coast, 3:30 Pacific time here at Mile High Stadium in Denver. First and goal from the 5 for the goal. Reeves, under pressure. Allen Hughes knocks it loose. Big Allen Hughes came through in a hurry. 6'2", 260-pounder out of Western Michigan.
Well, Larry Bethea gets most of the ink, but this guy, number 98, Allen Hughes, is a player at his nose guard position. Watch how he penetrates right here and comes around the blind side of Ron Reeves and knocks him high and hard and makes him lose the football right there. However, his arm was in motion, so it's going to be ruled an incomplete pass.
Great speed by that guy, Allen Hughes. Ran right around the center, Tom Davis. In the offseason, Hughes is a bodyguard for Thomas Hearns.
Hitman.
First down, half the distance to the goal line.
So are they calling roughing the passer?
Well, I tell you, I think they were calling holding again on Oliver Davis.
First down, goal line.
It remains first down. First and goal from inside the 5 at the 3. Keep in mind, Denver goal. The team has never been shut out. And Michigan has never had a shutout. Reeves under pressure again, and he'll go down again. Kyle Borland, the linebacker. 6'3", 238-pounder out of Wisconsin. We've talked about him all afternoon. They've got some active linebackers, and they utilize them. They bring them from every part of that defense.
Michigan doing such a good job here with their goal line defense. It's play action. Fake to Sidney. Now watch number 52, Kyle Borland, come around here as Reeves is trying to find an open man, and there isn't anybody open. And he just ducks under number 52, Kyle Borland, out of the University of Wisconsin.
Second and goal from the 14, intercepted John Corker to the 20. 25, knocked out of bounds on the 30-yard line. John Corker. It was the quarterback, Ron Reeves, that ran him out. He can play.
We said it earlier, this guy plays wall-to-wall linebacker, defensive player of the year in the USFL last year.
John Corker with the interception, and Michigan holds on, and it's close to a shutout. 1:16 remaining. There he is, Big John Corker.
22-yard interception return moments ago.
Whit Taylor's the quarterback from Michigan. Hands the ball off to John Williams. They'll now run the clock out with 1:08.
The important thing to remember, Tim, is that John Corker missed the Denver game last season. That might be one of the reasons the Gold won that game at the Silverdome.
As they were backed up against their own goal line there. First and goal from the 4. You know, there was a lot of pride on that defense trying to sustain the shutout, and that's the first thing Corker said. We saw him on the sidelines, and he said 0. They didn't even score.
He held up a goose egg.
He's a talented athlete, John Corker. Second and 1 from the 40, 37 seconds left. The goal, come with the blitz, try to shake up Whit Taylor, and he overthrows his receiver, number 82, Frank McLean. Big weekend for the United States Football League. The game we saw last night, Tampa Bay, 51,274 there. Philadelphia, New Jersey has 46,000. Down in New Orleans, 45,000 in excess plus. Michigan, Denver here at Mile High Stadium, 41,623. And Oklahoma, over 23,000. And the Houston-Chicago game has 7,000. Big weekend as you look around the United States Football League. 28 seconds left. Lenny Patrick picks up another Michigan first down. So the Denver Gold will have to go back to the drawing board. Greg Morton has been undefeated as a head coach here at Mile High Stadium until this afternoon. And this was a big ball game for them. He had pushed his plan to try to fill the stadium and get 50,000 in here. He got 41, but they didn't give the fans much to yell about this afternoon.
So this is the first hitch in his plan. As you say, he's going to have to regroup, go back to the drawing board. However, I don't think he's going to make any radical changes in his basic coaching philosophy. It seems to be working.
Michigan Panthers, extremely strong, remain unbeaten. They are now 3-0 in the Central Division. That a division with 3 expansion teams of the 5, and Michigan, of course, the class of that outfit. The defending champion, Michigan Panthers, who won the title here 24-22 against Philadelphia just last July 17th, gets another win at Mile High Stadium. Michigan 28, Denver nothing. Pretty good little shot there of the two coaches talking.
Good look at what we talked about at the very top of the show. 2 outstanding coaches with contrasting philosophies. Jim Stanley, a coach going back to his origins with Bear Bryant. Craig Morton, an 18-year veteran in the NFL, learned a lot of the things he liked and didn't like.
He's got speed, he's got size, he's got talent, he's got names, and he's got the defending champions playing extremely well. Michigan 28, Denver nothing. The final score in Denver. We'll be back.
Now we welcome those of you who have been, and now we welcome, at this moment, those of you who have been watching the Michigan Panthers in their 28-0 victory over the Denver Gold. The first really overpowering performance of the season for the Panthers, who won the USFL championship, as you know, a year ago. Let's take a look at what happened in that ball game. An orchestrated display of Michigan's power in the first quarter. Bobby Hebert threw this touchdown pass to Anthony Carter from 4 yards out. It was 7-0. Mark that early in, that was actually in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, this 1-yard touchdown run by Terry Miller made it 14-0 for Michigan after a drive which ate up nearly 10 minutes. In the third quarter, Miller scored again. 1 yard out, it was 21-0 Michigan. The last 1-yard touchdown run of the game was from John Williams, formerly of Wisconsin, and of course a guy who had a terrific year for the Panthers a year ago. And Michigan was dominant on all fronts in that game as they went on to a 28-0 victory, their third of the season, and Denver drops to 2-1. Interesting game today down in New Orleans, where Marcus Dupree made his debut for the New Orleans Breakers. You'll remember that last year as the Boston Breakers, they were one of the toughest defensive teams in the league, and they remain a good defensive team, one which has been playing well early in the season. Dupree scored on the very first carry of his USFL career after a Ben Needham fumble recovery early. Marcus took it in from a yard out, and it was 7-0 New Orleans. But then, the Memphis Showboats, expansion team under the coaching of Pepper Rogers, countered with this 15-yard touchdown run by Alan Reed to tie it back up at 7-7. However, New Orleans had the answer for that one, as once again you'll see number 22 in the blue jersey on the sweep to the right, and Marcus Dupree was making it look easy early in his USFL career, as on his first day in the league he now had 2 touchdowns. It was 14-7. Once again, Memphis came back as Walter Lewis, who has started out the season very well for the Showboats, runner, thrower, this time throwing to Cormac Carney, 30-yard touchdown pass. That tied it at 14. Just before the half, a 40-yard Mazzetti field goal for New Orleans made it 17-14. Then John Walton got hot in the second half. First, this 8-yard touchdown pass to Charlie Smith that made it 24-14. Later, this Walton to Frank Lockett touchdown pass of 40 yards. Old John Walton doesn't throw it long too often, but when he does, he tries to make it effective. And now late in the ball game, New Orleans is leading in that one 37-14, so the Breakers are apparently headed for another victory. Fascinating game in Pittsburgh today, where the Birmingham Stallions, with Cliff Stout at the controls, came into play against the Pittsburgh Maulers. Now, Pittsburgh fans are used to seeing Stout win on days when he throws terribly. That's happening again today, but they don't like it as much now with him in the Birmingham uniform. That 10-yard touchdown run for Stout made it 24-6 Birmingham in the third quarter. But then Carano to Potts, Sean Potts, made it 24-12 on a 4-yard touchdown pass. Here's the man who's had a big day for the Stallions. Joe Cribbs went in on this touchdown run from 13 yards out to make it 30-12 Birmingham. He's got, and this touchdown by Walter easily narrowed it to 30-18. A couple of fascinating statistics from that game in sold-out Three Rivers Stadium. Cribbs, when last we checked, had 31 carries for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mike Rozier's effort today, similar to his 2 previous ones, 10 carries, 25 yards, 1 fumble that set up a touchdown. Cliff Stout, late in the ball game, 2 of 15 in the air for only 29 yards, 1 interception, but nevertheless, Birmingham appears headed for a victory in that one. Houston and Chicago, this is another big day for the Houston rookie Jim Kelly. He has 3 touchdown passes. Late in the ball game, Houston leads at 38-36 over the Chicago Blitz. Most points ever scored in the United States Football League game, and as we mentioned, of course, 3 touchdown passes for Jim Kelly. He was the player of the week in the league for his performance last week and has another strong one going today. San Antonio, Oklahoma, this has been a defensive battle, and the Oklahoma Outlaws lead the Gunslingers 14-7 in the fourth quarter. Los Angeles and Oakland. Today for the Los Angeles Express, former Kansas quarterback Frank Sirer started at quarterback. It is as yet indefinite what will happen to former UCLA star Tom Ramsey, who is still under contract to the Express. Steve Young may play next week. He is not going to play today, and that game is scoreless, and there are 5 minutes left before halftime now. We show it in the first quarter. They actually are in the second quarter. Last night, a couple of good teams met in Tampa Bay in the cross-state battle for the state of Florida as the Jacksonville Bulls invaded Tampa Bay to take on the Bandits. 51,274 in the stadium saw the Bulls pick off John Reeves' first 2 passes and jump out to a 12-yard lead on this Matt Robinson to Michael Whiting touchdown pass. Bandits cut the deficit to 12-7 on Gary Anderson's 2-yard run and added a safety to make it, or check it. That made it 12-0. That was Larry Mason's 5-yard touchdown run for Jacksonville that made it 12-0. Now there's the Anderson touchdown from 2 yards out that made it 12-7. A safety made it 12-9. And then watch this. Matt Robinson went in for a touchdown from a yard out to make it 18-9, but that play will prove costly for the Bulls. Robinson chipped a bone in his foot. He'll be sidelined from 10 days to 3 weeks. Tough break for Matt Robinson, the former NFLer who was playing so well for Jacksonville. Tampa Bay field goal made it 18-12 at the half. The Bandits came out firing in the third quarter. John Reeves finding Eric Trevelyan with a 33-yard scoring strike. And then Tampa Bay struck again and took the lead for the first time, 25-18, on that 9-yard run by Greg Boone. Robbie Mahfouz was at the controls for Jacksonville, and the Bulls came back to tie the game on Willie McClendon's 6-yard run, opening play of the final quarter. Then Zenon Andrushishin kicked this 30-yard field goal with 2 seconds left, keep the Bandits unbeaten, and give them the bragging rights to the state of Florida for now. You know, of course, about the contract that Steve Young signed on this past Monday with the Los Angeles Express. 43 years in duration, a total of $40 million, a fascinating financial structure. Martin Wyatt of our owned and operated station KGO in San Francisco had an opportunity to talk to Steve later this week after the Express arrived in Oakland. Here's a look at that.
First question that most fans want to know, how have you reacted to the amount of money that from one day to the next day being a multi-millionaire? How's it affect you and the people around you?
Well, I think it's really difficult. I think I'm a pretty sensitive person to those kind of things, and it was very, it's still tough to try to react to it, and the only way I can even find a way to feel good about it is to feel like I can go ahead and help a lot of other people this way. Selfishly, I could never do this. I'd have to just walk away and say, oh, nah, I can't do this, I'll do something else. But the only way I can really sort of put in my mind in the right perspective is that I can use this to help many, many other people, and hopefully I can, rectify that in my mind. It's been something that's taken some used to, because getting used to, because it's a big change, not only the money, but just the whole atmosphere of your life. I had a lot of comfort zones at BYU and things that were going on.
What about your teammates? I mean, that certainly had to be a concern of yours.
Well, that's still a concern. I really do feel like if I don't feel like I'm having a good impact or something isn't working out well, then maybe I shouldn't be doing it. This is team sport. This isn't tennis. This isn't golf. This is something you got to get along with your teammates with and be successful. And so, I'm just out there going to give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll feel good about walking away from it because I gave it my best shot. But right now it's something that I'm really concerned about.
The pressure to perform is always great on a quarterback because win or lose, you're going to either get maybe too much credit or too much blame. And the amount of money you make, maybe the highest paid guy in professional sports possibly, that's got to be a lot more pressure to perform and to do it real fast.
There's a tremendous amount of pressure, and I think in a lot of ways it's overwhelming to a point that you're not, even myself, a confident person that I am, have to start wondering, well, wait a second, what do I need to be doing here? What are my capabilities? And so I'm trying to work those things through right now, and hopefully we'll come to some, to grips with it myself, so that as soon as I do, then I can just throw everything else aside and all the pressure that I feel outside and just put, just do it internally. But, right now I'm working with myself, trying to get it all straightened out.
Do you think being a deeply religious man, that it'll help you keep it in perspective?
It'll always be in perspective, but it's a matter of what I really want in my life, and I think that to a point you want to be successful, you want to take a challenge, but many times there are things that you just can't do. You try your best, and that's all that I will do, and that's all I'll ever try to do. And so the religion will it will make me always keep perspective on it all and make sure that I don't get away from my basic values. And I think that in a lot of ways that's what's being, it's very difficult right now, is I'm not sure that I'm following my basic values, and so I'm trying to rectify all that in my mind right now too.
One interesting note for any of you who may not follow college football carefully and therefore may not know a great deal about Steve Young. He's not just a quarterback in the technician sense. He's an outstanding athlete. This is a guy who was one of the fastest players on his team and had over 100 yards rushing in some games in which he passed for 300 or 400 yards. So unlike some other quarterbacks who are sheer technicians, this is a terrific athlete in addition to being an outstanding technician. Gil Brandt of the Dallas Cowboys was quoted this past fall as calling Steve Young the most accurate passer he'd ever seen. Now let's update a couple of scores. Birmingham and Pittsburgh are now final, the Stallions having won that 30-18. Cribbs, 33 carries, 191 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rozier finished with 16 carries, 52 yards, the one fumble I mentioned earlier. And Stout, 2 of 16 for 29 yards and an interception. That's the winning quarterback. The loser, Glenn Carano, 18 of 33 for 221 yards and an interception. Also, Houston defeated Chicago 45-36. This is the second weekend in a row that the Blitz have been beaten by an expansion club, and another outstanding performance for Houston's Jim Kelly and for running back Sam Harrell, who had 3 touchdowns in the game.